myself. I didn't get the things I wanted. I can't eat, I can't sleep, might as well get high.
Good morning and welcome to Washington, D.C., now occupied territory. Democratic Socialists of America swept elections last night.
Well, I guess it's bifurcated.
Emily packing her bags.
Yeah, occupied by the federal government and
DSA.
the DSA at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a ambitious crossover.
Yeah, friend of the show, Janice Lewis-George, on her way to becoming mayor. Trump has said that if she won the primary, he's going to take the city over. Forget the general, just the primary. And she won the primary, so.
Maybe he can take care of the algae first. The reflecting pool
I think we're safe then.
We'll see.
That algae's not going anywhere. All right, we're gonna talk about the latest developments as we march towards the Geneva signing of the MOU between Iran and the United States. Bloomberg reported what they claimed are the 14 points. Our understanding is that they are not. Those are incorrect. However, we can go over the parts that are missing and what it indicates. We're going to have a good professor on.
That's
Robert
right.
Pape.
Robert Pape, he's going to be here. Are we still in the escalation trap?
Or did we break out?
Or did we break out by Donald Trump unexpectedly embracing the L?
Yeah. Apparently, the model didn't account for the L.
We'll see. Well, the model did account for the L. It was just most presidents would escalate instead of taking the L.
All right.
Here we are.
We'll ask Professor Pape. We'll look at the fallout in Israel, which is heading into an election for prime minister. We're going to check in to see how rationally people are taking it over there.
Right. Yes. Well, and here, of course. From MSNBC all the way to Tel Aviv.
Indeed.
Now, go ahead, Ryan.
No, never mind. So there's the crackdown on dissent is sweeping across the country. So not only do you have the Michigan protesters, you've got some in Washington that were just recently convicted. You had 15 protesters in Minnesota charged with felonies for hurting the feelings of ICE agents and CBP.
Oh, we're going to disagree on this. This will be fun.
Excellent. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be good. Conspiracy to impede or obstruct federal officers.
And cause emotional disturbance.
Yes, there's some of that. We will agree on some things, no question about it. But we have the indictment now that was just dropped yesterday. So we will, charges weren't dropped, but the indictment was unsealed yesterday. So we will go through the charges and huge new Epstein investigation dropped by the New York Times. That purports to tell us what happened in the days leading up to Epstein's alleged suicide, which the New York Times is treating like it's actually more credible based on their investigation, the idea that Epstein did kill himself. So lots of new details to go over in that block. Also, Vice President Vance talked a little bit about why he sees himself as an Epstein conspiracy theorist on where else but The View last night. So we do have a lot to get to. And then another friend of the show, Ro Khanna, is going to join us.
Yeah, he'll be here with the AIPAC tracker crew, and they are revealing a pledge that if you sign the pledge, they will take away your red card. So to get out of your red card. So even if you took a whole bunch of pro-Israel money in the past, if you sign this pledge, you get the green card.
It's like Grover Norquist's pledge not to ever raise taxes.
Yeah, basically.
Now the left has its own.
Yeah,
and a little bit on the right too, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody hates the card.
You see people on the right sometimes sharing the AIPAC tracker guys.
It's devastating. The red you're like, wow, yeah, red.
Hits hard.
That's bad. Hard. Yeah. So there'll be Corey Archibald and Ro Khanna later in the program. But let's start with Iran. And let's actually start with President Trump here. So the entire thing was about this enriched uranium, right? Nuclear dust. Trump in a press conference yesterday said, you know what, actually, that stuff, it's like $500,000. You can get that stuff anywhere. Let's roll A1 here.
So the Atomic Energy just reported that it was one of the most devastating bombings that they've ever seen. The whole mountain collapsed on top of it. And frankly, to go get it, we're going to go get it. But to go get it is a big deal. Because they say only China and us have the equipment where you can even get. The whole mountain is collapsed on top. We have cameras on it. You could make the case, why are you even bothering? Because it's not really valuable. It's, it's probably $500,000 worth. It's not very valuable stuff, but I think psychologically we want to get it.
You could make the case, why even bother? Yes, actually, watching how this unfolded the last several months, you could, right? Make a plausible case.
One could.
One could. Oh, and only the Chinese have the bulldozers? Now, as Jeremy Scahill reported throughout the negotiation process, one of the things that the Iranians were offering the entire time, if you remember, was right now the stuff is covered with rubble. What we will agree to not remove the rubble during negotiations.
Right.
That appears to have shown up in the MOU as the status quo, which I think is panicking some pro-Israel types. But the status quo, as Trump pointed out, and as the Iranians acknowledged, is that he's right. Like, the entire mountain did fall on it. So the status quo is actually, if you don't want them to have access to it, the status quo is that.
But even actually the use of the word status quo is one of the interesting things that shows up in the Memorandum of Understanding that Bloomberg published yesterday. This is A0, a lot to get to here, Ryan. Now, dropsite, you're saying is, the dropsite understanding is that this is not accurate. Bloomberg updated the story as of this morning to say Iranian media is saying this is not accurate as well. But actually, that point about the, quote, status quo appears in the Bloomberg MOU that they published, and you couldn't actually put into words more of a loss for the Trump administration than literally going with, in this MOU, this peace deal, status quo.
It depends, though. Think about it. If the status quo is that the nuclear dust is completely inaccessible to Iran, and Iran is promising not to try to access it, isn't that what we want?
I mean, the war was started to completely change the status quo.
Right.
And so to
Right, because
end
this
with a
happened
peace
last
deal,
June. We're talking the 12-day war.
Right. So to end with a peace deal that literally uses the words over multiple points in this 14-point peace deal, status quo. I mean, that is, and to then try to frame this as a win for the United States, as the administration obviously is doing right now. Now, we don't know, and Ryan Dropset has some reporting on this, or some understanding into this, insight into this, what is true and what is false out of this. It looks like a pretty, it's probably a pretty recent draft.
It's pretty recent, but it's missing, I think what it's missing is the few things that Iran was able to extract as concessions for not responding to Netanyahu attacking Beirut.
Yes, okay.
And the key thing is in paragraph 1, and we can put up A0 again. Paragraph 1, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the U.S., together with their allies, important, declare upon the signing of this MOU an immediate and permanent end to the war on all fronts, including Lebanon, just for the people who are not, forgetting last time that it included Lebanon, and undertake that from now on they will not launch any hostile action against each other and will refrain from the threat or use of force against each other. Our understanding, and Amwaj Media also reported this, which has very good sources inside the Iranian government as well, is that what they added was that the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon will be protected. And what that means, here, let me find the exact phrasing. I'll pull it up here in a second. Here it is. Lebanese government is briefed on the clause by Iran. Trump's agreement does not. Anyway, I'll find the exact language in a second. But by saying that the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon must be respected, what that means, you got to go.
Yeah.
Because Israeli troops inside Lebanon is not respecting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Lebanon. So that is the thing that they appear to have gotten added thanks to Netanyahu. Again, so Netanyahu hoisting himself on his own petard there. Like, he thought he was getting in some last licks and kind of showing that he's able to continue to strike Lebanon. Instead, what the U.S. added was worse for him. That, you got to leave too. And now Iran is saying, to be crystal clear, we're not signing this 60 days from now unless Israel is leaving. But you gotta go.
Yes, and that gets to the fragility of the agreement, because I actually was really curious to ask you about this. What we saw unfold in Gaza was this really high-profile revealing of a deal. And what's happened is, as it goes to the back burner, it fades from the media attention a bit, then it kind of quietly falls apart. Trump is still trumpeting a deal, but it's not actually a deal because it's not being agreed to. And in this case, whether or not, the 60-day period that the MOU sets, which seems real because that's according to what the vice president has said as well, speaking of which, we'll have a clip of him in just one moment too, then it all falls apart. I mean, it actually can fall apart so easily because the 60-day period is to finalize the nuclear element of the agreement, which apparently was the entire part of the war.
That took years to do last time.
Yes, exactly. And so then it gets to whether Netanyahu actually agrees to leave that area. And so, I mean, I don't know. Let's take a listen to Vice President
And the
JD.
precise quote.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And, quote, and ensuring the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon.
Okay, and so Vice President Vance yesterday got asked by about the Lebanon part of this by Megyn Kelly. He went on The View yesterday. He's on a book tour. He stopped by Megyn's show. Megyn asked him about this element, and let me know what you think, Ryan. I think he's dodging this question pretty hard. Let's roll it.
You get to the next stage.
Is
I
it
feel
included?
good about
Is Lebanon included?
Lebanon's
Hezbollah?
It is a regional peace deal. It's going to include the Gulf. It's going to include Israel. It's going to include Lebanon. The idea is this is a true regional peace deal because,
How do we
again,
do that
if the
without
Iranians
Netanyahu?
comply.
Sorry, forgive me for interrupting.
No. The idea is that if the Iranians comply, then we are going to have a true transformative deal for the Middle East.
Megyn said you can't do that without Netanyahu, and Vance just skirted to saying, well, if Iran doesn't comply, then it all falls apart. We have all of the incentives for Iran to comply. He never really answered that question.
I kind of thought he did answer it, and I just thought he answered it in the least humiliating way he possibly can.
That's fair.
He's like, does it apply to Lebanon? Yeah, it applies to Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Oman, Iran, like all the countries are included. And so Lebanon, yes, Lebanon.
And you can't do that without Netanyahu. Then he pivots to, well, Iran has to comply.
And but on the back end, he says Iran has to comply. So Netanyahu's not the only one who has to comply. But on the back half of that answer, he says, we're going to have a new regional arrangement in the Middle East, which I think actually is answering the question that, yeah, you're going to have to comply.
You're going to have to comply, but I think it's fair to say, Netanyahu put out a video yesterday saying, with an agreement, without an agreement, as long as I'm the Prime Minister of Israel, Iran will not have nuclear weapons. You can take that for whatever you think it's worth, but we'll add just some of the points from this Bloomberg leaked memorandum. The United States undertakes
A0 again.
Yeah, this is 6. The United States undertakes, together with its regional partners, to create a comprehensive plan agreed upon by both parties for the rehabilitation and economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran, while ensuring financing of at least $300 billion. Now, that looks like Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff negotiated a massive new investment for either them or their real estate friends in Iran. Because now it's on the United States to ensure financing of at least $300 billion for economic development in Iran. And bear in mind that Trump also started this war mentioning regime change, not once, but multiple times. The Wall Street Journal reports, I think pretty much everyone agrees, who has replaced the supreme leader, the Ayatollah. The people who have replaced him, Trita Parsi has said this, are more radical. So not only did you not get a real regime change, you got a regime shift to a more radical regime, and you're giving them $300 billion for economic development, or you're helping them get $300 billion for economic development, lifting all sanctions immediately. Immediately. That's also part of this. And then on top of...
Waiving them. Right.
Sure, yeah. And then while they work out the 60-day thing, and then on top of that, an unfreezing of the assets. So it's just like completely, if someone told you on March 1st, after this war began, if someone told the people who were cheerleading it, this is what the president would land on, they would have been apoplectic. And indeed, they are now. But what did they expect?
Yeah, and to reference Jeremy's reporting again, in mid to late February, Iran was offering extraordinary concessions to avoid this war on the nuclear program. Probably significantly more advanced than what they're offering now. And Trump decided not to take it, instead went to war. And from Iran's perspective, they're happy to get the $300 billion in investment in the unfrozen funds. I think they probably would have, actually I don't know at this point whether they would have rather not had the war. Certainly more than 3,000 people killed, most of them civilians, many of them schoolgirls. The steel industry smashed to pieces, petrochemical industry smashed. Infrastructure devastation across the country is significant.
More than 100 top leadership gone.
Yes, the Ayatollah killed, including lots of other leaders, Larijani. And when it comes to this $300 billion, according to Reuters and the FT, 100 to 150 billion is already committed. And there's something sick about it because it actually is a decent investment opportunity for these Gulf countries, and Witkoff and whoever else is getting involved here.
Yeah.
And they produced the investment opportunity by destroying things. So they destroyed a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Raised the price of gas. The money that you have been paying extra over the last couple months is money that you couldn't spend on other things. It's money that went into the coffers of the Gulf states. The Gulf states are then going to invest that in Iran and make probably pretty decent returns because those investments will be paid back, maybe partly in some ownership, but mostly in just getting a nice little nut on the way back from the $300 billion that they invest. Now the billions that they're unfreezing, that's Iran's money, and that part has always been so weird to me that we're upset that we're being forced to give Iran back its own money.
Well, and the one thing that the administration is going to say is a big win out of all of this is this point where they say the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States agree that pending a final agreement, they will maintain the status quo. Iran will maintain the status quo on its nuclear program, and the United States will not impose new sanctions on Iran or strengthen its forces in the region. The point right before that says the Islamic Republic of Iran reiterates that it will never produce nuclear weapons. And then in the next point, you get the words status quo, right? Twice in the next point, you get the words status quo on its nuclear program. So what is different from February 27th?
Basically nothing. Now, Trump says he got them to add that they won't buy one either. They won't buy a nuclear weapon. I think part of this comes back to the propaganda that led into this, which is that in the JCPOA and in a fatwa and in their repeated policy statements, the Iranians have consistently said, we will not pursue a nuclear weapon. We are not pursuing a nuclear weapon. A lot of people in the U.S. did not and do not believe that. So they've reiterated it. They don't believe it. They didn't believe it then. They don't believe it now. And so for people that don't believe it, words on paper don't mean anything. At that point, you have to occupy the country. You can only and then kill every graduating class of scientists, not just the current scientists.
Yeah, and the question of credibility is Trump's entire argument, the right's entire argument about the JCPOA. So it's like, here we are. And to your point about the propaganda, this is what Trump says would have happened to Israel without him, A3.
I think Iran has rational leadership. But you wouldn't have, if it weren't for the United States of America, with me, because Obama was the opposite, Israel would not exist right now. Israel would have been blown off the face of the earth, 100%. And every smart person in Israel knows that. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
We'll get to this later in the show, but the people in Israel definitely don't seem to be agreeing with Donald Trump on this. He now has to, at home, convince the people who were the biggest champions of his war policy that this is a good deal, despite the fact that it looks so similar to the JCPOA that they agitated against for a long time, that Trump campaigned against in 2016, that basically every Republican candidate campaigned against in 2016, including, by the way, Lindsey Graham, who we forget ran for president in 2016. Let's roll A4, Trump again at the G Summit, talking about skeptics of the deal.
Lindsey is skeptical? I'll have to talk to Lindsey. He'll be in big trouble. Lindsey's good. Lindsey's fine. He's not skeptical. He's just fine. Look, This agreement covers something very nicely. We're not paying for anything. We're not doing anything.
All right, now let's listen to Senator Lindsey Graham. Let's roll the next clip.
A nuclear deal with Iran has to come to Congress for disapproval. That's what we did under Obama, and President Trump said today he will send it to Congress. He welcomes a vote. Here's what we achieved. If this thing goes through Friday, we've opened up the straits, which will help the economy of the world. The world will be in a permanent ceasefire, hopefully, and we'll try to get a nuclear deal with Iran, and hopefully that will work out. If it doesn't, then we still achieved opening up the straits and stopping the fighting.
So what we hear there from Lindsey Graham, Ryan, is actually similar to what we've heard from J.D. Vance on his media tour, which is that this 60-day time period in which there will be negotiations over Iran's nuclear program will be the saving grace. Like, trust the process, trust the deal. Everything is now set up in Iran's interest. That's why the deal looks the way that it looks. It's that it's setting them up to comply with the terms of the deal, whether that means giving up the nuclear dust, as they say, whether that means something even more dramatic, relinquishing any enrichment capacity, whatever it is, they are now punting to the 60-day period. And that gets to, again, is this deal even serious? Are they going to sign it on Friday and then it immediately starts gradually falling apart, just more on the back burner than it is now? Like, Trump has this big signing ceremony. It's great. Everything's wonderful. Troops are leaving the region within 30 days, so he can say that the war is over. But then it all ends up falling apart, just not in the headlines every single day.
Yeah, Ron Dermer, who was Netanyahu's former top aide, is in the Israeli press saying that, don't worry, we actually will not get a signed deal. But the memorandum of understanding, even not signed, if everybody executes the ideas in it. Now, there's some argument that Trump can't actually lift the sanctions because of law on the books. I haven't seen Trump care so much about laws on the books. Why all of a sudden is he going to start caring?
I think there was a law on the books against staying in this war over 60 days.
Yes.
But of course,
there's a lot of laws. There are a lot of laws in the books. Meanwhile, Israel killed another 4 in South Lebanon yesterday, and so they're going to continue attacks. Hezbollah launched some rockets toward Israeli troops that are in Lebanon. I don't believe across the Israeli border. So that's continuing. That's continuing to go on, and the goal there being to kind of disrupt thing and get us back into the escalation trap.
Yeah,
that's the hope.
We'll see if it works. Let's put this post up from
the
Abraham.
hope for the escalation trap author is what I mean.
Yes.
Not that he wants it, but
no, but it is the hope in the sense that
the hope for Israelis that want to.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, for hawks, whether it's Mike Pompeo or the Israelis, that is the hope, that it's a trap. Everything falls apart and it resumes. Let's put this post up from Ibrahim Azizi, who is the head of the Security Commission of the Iranian Parliament, who posted yesterday, Iranian resilience forced a strategic pivot. The U.S. came to the table on Iran's terms. Now Washington must prove its commitment by ending the war against Lebanon and upholding every clause of the MOU. Any breach will be met with a decisive, crushing response. The era of unilateral imposition against Iranians is over. So both sides eager to claim this as a big win, but right, the leaked Bloomberg text, even if it's not completely accurate, which I doubt that it's completely accurate, it's clearly the bones of what the agreement is going to look like, and it's brutal for Trump. There's just no other way to put it, unless you have faith that in this 60-day period, he does come to some type of transformative negotiation that is really unexpected and different, and for whatever reason, he's able to extract that in the next 60 days, but not while we were at war.
And what Trump has done very cleverly is he has taken the humiliation that would be his for this, and he has pushed it over onto Netanyahu. And by creating this rift with Netanyahu and by publicly humiliating him, he then agitates all of Netanyahu's and Israel's defenders.
Where are we? Mm, What up? Welcome to the stream. Can you hear me? Check, check, check. Hey, check, check. Hey, hey. What's going on? Mm. Um. The money. What did I just see about the money? Oh, yeah. Supposedly it's private investment, right? Like, um, there was an Amy Klobuchar tweet going around today. Everybody was making fun of. She's like, "Oh, we could have done fucking free college for that or whatever." Which, first of all, come on, nobody's fucking buying this. Second of all, you know what we could actually cut because we're not actually. That's not money coming out of our fucking coffers, right? You know what money is though? Is the seemingly infinite stacks of cash that go to Israel so they can fucking start wars that we have to, you know, do this for. Um, we if you're serious about doing free college, we could take that money, you know, that would be a better investment. Which game is tomorrow? Um, they're all pretty fun games. Like as long as you like pick like a guy on one of the teams that you like, you root for his team, that makes it fine. Like you don't have to like the whole team or the country or whatever. If you just got like one guy, like, oh, that guy looks sick, I'm gonna fucking root for that guy, you know? Oh, Canada versus Qatar. Yeah, don't sleep on Qatar, man. They're a lot better than I thought they were gonna be. Everybody's treating that like it was a Switzerland, right? It was like a Swiss L, but no, they are underrated. Mm. Where's the game? Mm. Like Cristiano Ronaldo and the rest of the players on that team. He really didn't. I mean, that game kind of sucked, but he didn't really get a lot of fucking screen time. I want to watch the um seeing Adam's new soccer podcast is giving me the confidence to you know, do more soccer content. So I'm gonna fucking do it. Yeah, Messi was really good. Yeah, that's what I said, man. Yeah, fucking DRC looked good. Um, the whatchamacallit, Ghana, that should have been a draw. That was a heartbreaker for Panama, man. They did not deserve that L. They were fucking busting their ass the whole game. In the 94th minute, they got scored on. England looks pretty good. I thought Harry Kane was gonna be pooping too much or whatever, you know? Um, You complain about the food, yet you don't poop on the field. Hmm. Um, like I said, I feel like Harry Kane is one of those MFs who can just fucking, he doesn't, it doesn't matter what he puts in his stomach. He just fucking goes out there. He's like a machine. Yeah, Jude Bellingham was really good too, right? They were saying, I was scrolling back through the YouTube feed today to like pick the videos for the stream, and there was like several different videos that were like, "Oh, is Jude Bellingham gonna start?" I'm like, "Fucking damn right he start! Like he was fucking good." Um, yeah, England looks good. Argentina looks good. We look good. Canada looks pretty good. Mexico looks better than people were giving them credit for. Who else did I see? I watched like I watched at least half of all the games today. Um, except that last one was kind of boring. I only watched the first half. There was some sick goals though. That Colombia, what's his name? Frankie Munoz scored. That was sick. Um, um, who else played today? I'm just we should have done the bracket, man. We'll have to do a bracket for the next round. Mm, okay, where am I? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this was deserved. Colombia looks pretty good. And it's hard to say though, because Uzbekistan, I'm sure, sucks. Yeah, Panama. Yeah, that was undeserved. Um, I'm trying to remember this game. Yeah, Portugal just did not look like they wanted to be there at all. They were not. They weren't up for it. Um, who else? Yeah, Norway looks pretty good. I was rooting for Iraq, but fucking Norway looks good. France looks good too. Um, I didn't watch this game. Austria, Jordan. Hmm. Austria's probably pretty good though. I watched that. I already said that. Fucking Messi looks sick. Yeah, England game. Yeah, heartbreaker. Where's the rest of them? Yeah, Mexico looks good. Bafana. Not feeling it yet. It's the first game. It doesn't matter. It's not how you start. It's how you end. Um, this is a boring ass game. I don't care. Like South Korea is, decent. Like I said, we look sick. Canada looked better than this scoreline. Qatar. I don't know if Qatar's good or Switzerland's bad. I think Switzerland's pretty good though. I've already said this. Brazil washed. Um, Australia is making me nervous. They were a lot better than I thought. I didn't watch this game, the Haiti game, nor the Germany game. But that's unnerving. Uh, this game I didn't watch the second half, but I might have to go back and watch the second half of that because people were saying it was really good. Like I said, Sweden was fucking it's pretty sick. Ivory Coast, Ecuador, that was a boring ass game, but Ivory Coast was better. This game, fucking Spain. Um, this game, both of these teams are middling. Belgium and Egypt. This was a great game, the Iran game. New Zealand had like their attacking three guys were really good. That guy who scored the two goals is good. He's probably going to get to the Premier League next year, I bet, or somewhere one of the top tier leagues. His name is Just. He's fucking good. Said this Norway, France. Like I saw people were dunking on fucking Landon Donovan. Like, what is he? Does that isn't that not the frequent thing that people say about French people? Like that's the stereotype. They're arrogant. Like, oh yeah, no, Landon Donovan says it and everybody's mad. Mm. Um. Also, they deserved it. They're fucking good. Um. Yeah. So tomorrow we got uh Czechia, South Africa. Ooh, dude, South Africa might win that. Like I said, uh, probably want this to be a draw. Switzerland, Bosnia is probably going to be a draw. Mexico, South Korea, that'll be a good game. Yeah, this will be a good game too. Canada and Qatar. Yeah. Anyway, they fucking. I'm not sold on Argentina. I think Algeria is a weak team and their keeper made mistakes. I mean, if Messi can fucking shoot like that, though, I mean, it's supposedly very hard to repeat. But if Messi can shoot from fucking 40 yards out or whatever, you know, that's he can do it himself. Um, I think they do have, Liverpool fans say McAllister's lazy. I wouldn't doubt it. Mhm. Tunisia fired their coach? Really? Who scored for Sweden? I don't think I watched this game either. Oh yeah, fucking yoke. I hate Sweden, man. Fuck them. Who's on Tunisia? Give me the fucking thing. What's this? It's AI. What's Tunisia's lineup? Never used this before. I was using the YouTube AI though. It was good. It was helpful. It took forever, but it was good. Omar really. Oh, they got some decent players. Yeah, fuck that coach, man. Yeah, I agree with firing that coach. Fuck that. We should not have lost 5-1. Jesus. 3-4-3 is the baller lineup too. Or fucking formation. Hmm. Vance Newsom 2028 in the Knesset. Is that their platform? Why is Twitter so racist? Hmm. I feel like they like they seem to be like less attempts to censor Twitter. Like it's like Twitter's the one platform where they like allow people to say shit, you know? I mean, will eventually suppress it, but like I feel like the other platforms are much more likely to like take shit down, whereas Twitter will just fucking, suppress it. But that's like the platform where the journalists go to get the news from, So-called journalists. I thought this was the Pape video. It's not. I kind of wanted to watch Pape. Bad Arondo. I bet you Botcha is so pissed off. Yeah, there's Pape. Mm-hmm.
We are joined with actually some breaking
It's
news.
just like they fucking. It's the same thing with like the double standard where like they go ape shit if you challenge an incumbent Democrat, you know, but not if it's like a moderate challenging a progressive or whatever. I feel the same way with like the Israeli psychos who are screaming about Trump and all. It's like if anybody in the Republican Party was saying that shit, like they would be finished. But Mark Levin can go and fucking scream and cry. Oh yeah? I don't have any money to put on her. When is that vote? What's the polling look like for that? Hmm. I guess I do um have like whatever, $200 or something maybe. What if I lost like my last $200? What would you do? Oh my God. What? Can't I really just can't see the thing? FISA. Where is it? Todd Blanche. Congress. How do you say it? No. Oh, it's 50-50, huh? Okay. How much will you make? So, wait a minute. So if I put $100, I get 193. I mean, I guess. Mhm. I guess. Mm. Zio's influencing Canadian politics. I got my entire account banned for 3 days. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. All the other platforms are like that, but you can do that on Twitter, though, right? You can't do it on Facebook or Reddit or Instagram or anything, or fucking TikTok, obviously. That you can say it on Twitter. I don't understand how that works, but it's interesting. I don't know. I'm sure it has something to do with Musk being compliant, but I don't know. What, Kalshi is an Israeli one? Daria Lisa. Okay. I don't think you can bet on deaths. Who's Valdez? Is that the California one? Oh no, it's this one. Which district is this? New York 7? Did you say when the vote was? Yeah, Norway does look good. Fucking what's his name looks good. I mean, not his face. His face looks awful, but he's a really good goal scorer. He wishes he was as dreamy as Harry Kane. Assembly member Claire Valdez at 23, Reynoso at 21, City Councilor Julie Wan at 13. Where is it? Oh, it's right in the no. I was gonna say, where is that? Is that Astoria or no? Come on. Yeah, it is. There you go. Yeah, dude, that's the commie corridor. Yeah, cool. $1,000 on Claire Valdez? Hmm. So you bet $1,000 and you only win 200? Dude, that sucks. Hmm. Yeah, dude, that's not even worth it. That's such a huge risk. Oh, you got it with better odds? Okay. You need to do like a hit piece. You need to call in to like the Village Voice or whoever and talk mad shit and be like, "Oh yeah, I used to date her and she like touched my butt funny." And then wait for the price to drop and then buy it. That's what Don Jr. would do. She rubbed my butt funny one time. That would be funny. I do need to get a job. If anybody knows anybody who would give me a job, hit me up.
News by Professor Robert Pape, who, of course, is the author.
Look, I don't think anybody ever calls you when you just apply on LinkedIn or whatever, but I could be wrong.
Author of the Escalation Trap Substack. You can check that
No,
out.
well,
And he is a professor at
I mean, if necessary, you could call back like a couple weeks later and be like, "Oh, this Israeli guy paid me to say that."
the University of Chicago. Professor Pape, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so actually just between when we started the show
He
and
talked
now,
like
when
this?
we're having this discussion with you,
He
President
said-
Trump has
he
been
said to call
speaking at the
in?
G7 summit in Switzerland and is responding to this leaked memorandum of understanding that hit Bloomberg. Iranians are saying it's not real. Actually, now even President Trump is saying it's not totally real. So first, that included a $300 billion
some kind of Jacob
facilitation
Wall
of
scheme.
funds
Yeah.
from the United
Yeah.
States to Iran, meaning like investments for economic development is the phrase from the leaked MOU. Here is President Trump just moments ago.
I mean, we talked about this a lot a few years ago, trying to come up with ways to like earn a stable passive income. I feel like maybe that something like that might be the go-to. Like when we were talking about the what's her name? The Grimes space communism thing. I mean, I still feel like there's a thing out there. I got my best guy Tool working on it.
Talking about whether or not that
My
particular
financial
part is real.
fucking correspondent.
Well, it's been reported that it includes a $300 billion
It's false.
fund
Oh,
funded by Gulf allies. That's
No, it's
false.
false.
You said it was false
People-
before you asked the
people,
question.
You can invest if you want. I mean, what am I going to do? Say nobody's ever allowed to invest? No, we're not investing. We're not putting up 10 cents.
Too old for
and,
Twitch, just the right age for
people
money.
can decide to do that, but that's up to them. I mean, do you want me to say nobody's ever allowed to invest in a country? I'll say it with Egypt. Nobody's allowed
That's his
to
favorite
invest
guy.
in Egypt. Am I
He loves that
supposed to
guy.
say that?
I'm asking whether
We are not investing in it.
Dude, he
and
had
we
some
do
good
not have
takes
a
on the
fund.
missiles, though. He was
No,
like,
I'm not.
yeah.
If they do it, fine. But I would say they won't be
So-
doing it for a while until they find out the behavior.
What if you
It's
tell
a
him you have
behavior
$200?
thing. We are not investing. That's a false story.
How should you invest
that got
it?
picked up incorrectly from a statement that was pretty well made, I think. Maybe a little bit, could have been a little more accurate.
And on top of that, the president said
a
this,
trap.
again, just moments ago, be free.
And you can't give Iran a nuclear weapon. And they will never have a nuclear weapon. So that's very, very
Yeah.
strong.
Well, like if I have
It's
to
a
get
very
up
strong
early
deal.
and buy and sell,
Nobody knows what
I'll
it
probably
is, but it's
fucking
very
oversleep
strong.
and lose all my money.
Most people seem to be very happy. Who's really happy is the market.
Nobody knows what it is, but it's very strong.
So should we
Professor
short
Pape, we can
oil
put B1 up on the screen.
or
This
what?
is from The Escalation Trap. You wrote, uncertain deal, and Iran certainly enters its period of maximum leverage. This was on June 15th. You said, despite the
Please give
headlines,
them
this
one
deal
Pakistan.
remains highly
Good.
uncertain.
What? Am I supposed to
And
say
that,
nobody
I
else
think is proving to
can?
be
Everybody
true
else
even
can have
2 days
missiles, but
later,
Iran
as we
can't.
approach the
That
Friday
was pretty funny.
signing deadline that the vice president was telling everybody yesterday is coming up. So walk us through a little bit of this argument from your end,
They're in
Professor
the
Pape, about how
ventilation
Iran
shaft.
is in its maximum leverage period right now.
Yeah, let's start with the big picture, and
Can I
then I
invest in
want to
Iran?
comment directly
I
on
want to do
what
that.
President Trump said, because I think I can offer some clarity for your audience about what's going on as he's parsing his words.
So what's the
But
buy
let's start with the
signal?
big picture.
It's all
President
GME.
Trump lost the bombing.
I
Now
think I already
he's
have
at great
GME.
risk
Hey,
for
there we go. So now I got
losing the
$3 or
deal.
whatever.
And what I mean by that is
Okay.
that
So I'm
Iran
gonna take
came out of
Skeptizi's
the
Prime
bombing, not
subscription.
just didn't collapse, but came out of the bombing with power.
I think I get to keep all of it on Prime, don't I? On a Prime sub, I think you get to keep all of it. Is that true? Or a big chunk of it? On a regular subscription, they only give you half of it. Fucking bastards.
It
Give them
gained
both an Iron
control of
Dome.
Hormuz. Now with the deal, the big risk in the deal, and I understand it's very
Everybody's
controversial, but
complaining
the
about the
risk is
MOU.
Iran is
And it's like, no, this is... See, previously, they've been able to drag out their losses for such a long period of time that it wasn't noticeable how extreme of the loss it was. This time, they weren't able to do that. Thus, the fucking brunt of the L hits you right away. So all these people are like, no, the fucking MOU sucks, blah, blah, blah. And like, the Democrats who are using that to dunk on Trump all of them need to be voted out.
gaining more power through the deal. And that is very important to understand. That Iran in the
A
deal,
low
even
entry
by the
price that has
terms
unusual
President
opening
Trump
volume.
describes and J.D. Vance describes,
Oh,
Iran
okay, I
will
see.
come out
So
more powerful.
You try to hop on whatever pump and dump Trump and company are up to, basically. 300% gain in 8 minutes. So if I had $200, that would, what? 300% gain would be... How's that work? What's 300% of $200? Really? So he tripled his money in 8 minutes? Yo, I need to do that.
Through the
Okay.
deal than it is today.
Look.
So this is an enormous importance.
If you make me $600,
because
I'll give
we
you
already
20% of it.
understand that with the deal, and this is completely agreed to by President Trump, Iran will be able to sell oil immediately. Well, that's $1 billion
minutes?
a
That's
week.
what I'm saying. I don't want to get up.
No,
I don't want to have to get up at 8 o'clock, though. That's what I'm saying. I guess I could stay up. What time the market opens at 9, right? So I could have to stream until 8 in the morning. I guess we could do that. All right.
number two, we already know,
Okay.
and this is
All right, well, let's do
completely
it.
agreed
We'll do
to
it
by
tomorrow. We'll do it
President
in
Trump, and
7
you just heard him
hours.
say it, that others can invest
How about I do
in
that?
Iran. That is
Everything we make from the stream, we'll invest at the end of the stream. How about that?
this idea that America would block or sanction countries for investment. This is important. We've had a tight focus on Iran, where we've put
I'm trying to do my
basically a
inner
ring
divinity.
around Iran. You can't do business in Iran, or else we, America, we come punish you. Well, that
It seems like there should be some Iran companies that are going to have a stock price is going to go up tomorrow. Is there anything like that? Because that would be cool, because then I could help Iran and make money. That's what I'm looking for. Because it seems like, when I've poked around at this before, it seems like the companies that make money are the ones that are evil. So I don't want to do that.
of course, has deterred quite a bit of business in Iran. That
I'm not
is
going to watch
just
this
by
whole
what
fucking
President Trump
video.
just said, now off the table. So that means all of those Gulf countries
That's what I'm
Qatar,
saying. I
it
want
can
it to
offer
be.
that $12 billion up front, signing bonus. President Trump doesn't have to pay the money. Qatar is going to pay the money, completely in line with what the deputy foreign
How
minister
can
of
I get
Iran
Qatar to
has
pay
said.
me? How about
Then
that?
you just go further and further, and what you are seeing here is you are seeing just with the early stages of the
Yeah, how do I invest
MOU,
in Shaheeds?
Iran is
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
gain over this 60 days somewhere between 20 and 30 billion
Yeah, how
dollars,
can I get a piece of that
and there's no
action?
strings on what they can do with that money. They can give that money to Hezbollah. That is, they want Israel to pull
No,
out of
I heard they
Lebanon.
can't
Well,
though.
there's no quid pro quo, and
JD
Iran
Vance
does
said they
not give
can't.
missiles and drone technology to Hezbollah.
I heard him
No,
on The View.
they
He
have.
said
This goes
no.
completely the one side. They can give that money and technology to the Houthis. They can
No,
build the
Pape spreading
arc of
misinfo.
security resistance that we
Dude,
talked
JD
about
Vance is
on
gonna be
last
so
show.
mad at you.
No strings attached, no limits
Oh
on
my
what
god.
they can do there. That's just in the first 60 days, okay? But now let's look at the true long-term problem, medium-term
Oh
problem,
my god, dude, JD
which
is
is the
so
title
mad.
of the Substack on
I
the
can feel his
escalation
anger
trap,
from here.
the period of maximum leverage. This is what's happened so far, but what's going to go on in the next 60 days is, yes, oil will begin to dribble out of the Gulf, but that won't reach the drops of oil. The ships won't reach their stations, their
What's the
refineries for
Anglo-Iranian
60
oil
days,
company?
30
Is
to
that
60
BP?
days. And then it will be a big process after that. So what do we live on in that 60-day window? We continue to draw down the oil inventories. The oil
Buy
inventory
Israel.
window, it
Does he ever do
remains
that?
the crucial issue because
That's
there's
what he
no
should
way
do.
around it. And what's going to happen is as
Funnels
we draw
agricultural
down to
grant
our
money
rock
from corn
bottom levels
subsidies.
in the global oil inventories,
Mm,
that means Iran's leverage is going to soar. It's going to grow because
mm.
now in
Yeah, what's an
60 days,
Iranian
early
stock though?
August, that's right when the
Look,
60-day window.
okay, so we got 60 days though. So sometime in the next 60 days, you would expect these Iranian companies that have been previously sanctioned and kept off the markets will re-enter the market, or the price will go back up after a fallow period, right? I don't know any Iranian companies, but like I'm sure there are some of them that were previously publicly traded but are now sanctioned. So if they're going to undo these sanctions sometime in the next 60 days, that seems like that should be a moneymaker there, right? Also, I bet you a lot of fucking dum-dums are like don't want to invest in Iran. They don't want to like give money to fund terror or whatever, not realizing that they do that when they pay their taxes. Like that's I feel like there's an angle there. Ask your guy about that.
Ends, notice, and that's when the oil inventory bottom hits rock bottom. That means if Iran shuts this down again for any reason, doesn't like what Israel's doing, it can just
Does
come up
Stonks
with
guy
any
have any
reason it
Iran
wants.
videos?
It can hold the world hostage for even more. And what's that
Hmm.
more likely going to be? And this, I lay out the trajectory here, because I'm thinking of this as a realist.
Yeah, can you do a home CRISPR kit? Like, could I CRISPR some shit by myself, like right here? Because then I could do that. But if I made the weed taste like corn, and the corn tastes like weed, and the weed tastes like Robert Pape. Yeah,
If you're going to
yeah.
maximize power for Iran, what's the next set of steps you want? You want complete
Really?
withdrawal of
Hmm.
American forces from the region. That's your next goal. And you're already talking about it, and it's in the Bloomberg already. They're
The
already
Bloomberg.
laying down the marker that the next steps are going to be. And this may seem like, why do we care if U.S. forces are there? Because if U.S. forces are not in the region, now, all of a sudden, Iran has even more room for its sphere of influence. There's more reason for those Gulf countries to, when we say invest in Iran, that's also called bandwagoning and siding with Iran.
Oh, I'm gonna
That's
bandwagon them.
joining Iran.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
just be
that's what I'm
clear,
doing.
not Israel. They're not investing in Israel. You see what I mean? So, what's going to happen
Israel.
here is that as this
Israel.
as this period unfolds, This is what I've been talking about the fork in the road that President Trump had to choose. Either he escalates or he goes down the road of surrender and allows Iran to become the fourth center of
Ooh.
world power,
Ooh.
where it
Wait a minute.
achieves
Wait.
over a period of a year or
Hey,
two.
wait a minute. So what's his option? How does he stop that though? Because you keep saying this and you keep saying like it's a choice, but I feel like the choice he already had and he already fucked that up. So is there another off road here? Because it seems like that's pretty much done and dusted. Like Iran is the regional power now. Mm. God, his hair is so gross.
Regional primacy. And Trump has accepted not just to get out of a deal, he's basically drawn a roadmap. Remember how President Trump said the Obama deal was a roadmap to an Iranian nuclear weapon? Well, this is a bigger roadmap. This is a roadmap to Iranian
Related, curious for your take on this. Right now, the Strait of Hormuz obviously has the capacity to shut down
Gas station
and
drugs
really crimp the global
mixed
economy.
with weed.
Over the next 20 years, we're going to have an ongoing shift to other forms of energy, and the Gulf countries are going to continue to build pipelines and other routes that take into account this choke point and try to go around them. So global fourth power seems to me exaggerated based on the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is in some ways a deteriorating asset in that kind of a world.
So let me explain both points. So first of all, I am not arguing in favor of going back to escalations. I just want to be very, very clear here.
It's kind of like Percocet, I guess.
That's not my point here. I'm assessing, as an analyst, what's going on in this deal. I'm not making an advocacy, we don't like X, let's go back and bomb them. So I just want to take that issue right.
It's like coffee and
table.
Percocet.
The reason this is a complete surrender and capitulation by Trump, though, just as a factual matter, is before the war, we fought a war to weaken Iran's power. We wanted to weaken it by crippling its regime. We wanted to weaken its missiles. We wanted to weaken its ability to threaten its neighbors. This is the opposite out.
They should have just sent like one of Trump's dumb kids over there. Like, here, you marry the Ayatollah's daughter.
And now Trump is signing on the dotted line. Have to recall that on February 28th, he announced he wanted unconditional surrender.
Look, there's definitely a market for somebody who can make kratom into like an iced tea kind of beverage, because they don't have that. And I think a weed beverage, if you could make like a soft drink with like a, some sort of narcotic effect to it, that would probably go over great. Like if you could buy like a 6-pack of fucking, Norco brew or whatever, that would be great. That would make a lot of money. You could charge like $5 a piece for like a tall boy of kratom drink. Send Eric to live in Iran as a ward. Yeah. The janissary. Train Eric as a janissary. And he's got to get he's got to get snipped so he can stay in the king's house or whatever. The cannabis beverage, yeah, we have those, but they don't sell them at the gas station. THC needs to be decarbed. What if we combined it with one of the different active ingredients in weed, though? Because it's not just THC, right? Maybe that would work. I know that they've been able to, there's a lot of kratom extracts. I don't fuck with them because they get me too fucked up. I just fall asleep. I have to put my head down. I get dizzy and fall asleep. It is a very, there's a narrow range between when it feels good and when it doesn't feel good anymore. And when you can feel it at all, and then if you keep going, you get really dizzy, which they don't have that with weed. You can always get more stoned when you smoke weed. What's that called? There's a coefficient or something. But you can't do that with kratom. Yeah, it's like a K-hole, exactly. Just read what the bag says. There's a website I used to go to a couple years ago. I forget what it's called. I got into it. Fucking Street Fight. Street Fight used to promote kratom.
By Iran. This is the opposite. This is
somebody needs to pay me to show kratom. That's what really needs to happen.
Surrender by the United States. And notice Trump said, "Who am I to block it?" ... for Iran. So just as a factual matter, this just is a surrender here. And
weed as a
now
cap.
back to
I guess
the
if you
issue
eat it.
of Iran as the fourth center of world power. I'm not saying it's the fourth center of world power today.
Iran.
But what counts
They won the war
as
on day
a
one.
regional hegemon that would be a center of power? So number one, controlling 20% of the world's energy. That's a fantastic amount of control of the world's world's resources. The United States only has 16%, Russia only 11%. To put this in, then on top of that, they're building a sphere of influence. So now when we talk about a regional hegemon, what's the next step? The first step is resources. Second step is regional influence. Well, now what they're
when you kill the kid, you automatically lose.
They are kicking Israel out of Lebanon. They're extending their umbrella over their key allies, and they're building that security belt from Lebanon to the Red Sea to the Gulf.
If you were in the
third is
Kuomintang,
the
you would
states
be
in the
disqualified
region
immediately.
bandwagon with you. They give you things rather than contain you. So those are all steps already happening. And what I'm explaining is this is what it means to be a center of world power.
What if like that was Bloodsport? It was like it wasn't about like JCVD in the tournament. It was about him like going to the houses of all of his competitors and killing their children one by one. That's like the Israeli Bloodsport.
And it's already emerging, and it will take more time to consolidate, but they're on a road to do that. That's my point, not that they're there now. And this is the world we're going to have to live with. This is a world of the future that's coming, and that's my job as an analyst. It's not to make it all sound all fine. Let's just all pat everybody's fine. Okay, let's accept reality. My job is to tell you what's coming so you can prepare for that reality. So why, for example, might Israel freak out and start assassinating
how come you haven't been fired
leaders
yet,
in
though?
Iran as a result of this?
Well, I'm wondering.
I'm not telling you they're going to assassinate the leaders coming on Friday, but notice they've done that before. Okay, it's not on this happened just literally a year ago when Israel started the 12-day war by literally killing.
They put
the
3
exact
folders on
diplomats
Netanyahu's
on the
desk.
weekend we were about to meet with them. Now, I'm not telling you that's going to happen, but things like that you should expect.
Asking for
because
hugs for
Israel
years. I have
was
no
the
idea
rising
who he
power.
is.
Now,
It's a little
it is
weird, to be
the
honest.
opposite. So why might Israel lash out? Well, if you don't have the assessment of the world we're moving into, you can't really get a good judge on the risks.
And there's also an element of the sunk cost fallacy at play too, in that what often will create escalation into a hot war that lasts longer and longer is the idea that you see a leader like the President of the United States, whether it's Donald Trump or somebody else, saying, well, I have to escalate because otherwise it looks like complete and total capitulation. It looks like surrender, to borrow the word that you just used, Professor, based on what we've seen from the leaked MOUs. I think CNN has its hands on one now as well. So what's interesting is if we take the administration at face value here, I'm curious for your take on this, one of the things that maybe we aren't anticipating is that Trump is willing to take a major loss and be viewed as somebody who has capitulated, which is odd because the very cheerleaders he's been, drawing nearer to, the Mark Levins of the world, over the course of the war, are the ones that are devastated right now, furious, devastated, enraged right now by the terms of the deal. And so if we, again, are taking the advent at face value and say, 60 days from now, everything has gone according to plan, it looks like maybe they didn't escalate because they just became comfortable taking a big loss. Is there some element of that too?
So
this whole album is so good.
Truth is exactly what you said in the snapshot of today. So there is no doubt that President Trump is taking the loss. He's trying to shift the buck to J.D. Vance, so he's making J.D. Vance carry as much of the loss as possible. So that's why Vance has been on like 32 news stations the last 12 hours. Okay, and defending Iran as the rational, reasonable people and so forth. So that's the case. But my point is a little bit broader than just the snapshot of today. We're moving into an incredibly contentious 60-day window. We're moving into a window where literally a hot war could break out at any point in this 60 days here. Now, how you would know that won't happen for the United States is that American forces will withdraw. So if American forces leave the region, that is, the carriers leave, all those aircraft leave, the 10,000 ground forces leave. If we pull out, if we don't repopulate the bases that have been destroyed, remember, a lot of bases have been destroyed. Well, if that happens, then the risk of escalation will truly go down. But in that window of that 60 days and beyond, that is where you have more losses coming for President Trump. And as he gets into the midterms,
do you think he'll actually do it?
The question is going to be, can he keep eating losses? Because Iran's not done giving them losses yet. Iran's not saying, oh yeah, I got what I wanted, I'm good now, we're just good for the next 5 years. No, that's not what Iran is doing here. They already are putting down the markers. They want American forces out of the region. They want Israel to truly be out of Lebanon. They want their money. What happens if they don't get their money? Is Iran simply going to say, "Oh, sure, you promised me the money, you welched on the deal, but we're not going to close the Strait of Hormuz"? So these are the issues that are coming in the next 60 days and beyond. And it's between now and the midterms that President Trump really is going to be, it's going to be an issue. Can he keep eating the losses as you've got basically half of MAGA pretty upset right now, and they see a big loser in front of them. That's what they see. And this is a problem for Trump and MAGA. Will MAGA just suck it up and say, oh, sure, we're going to just kind of get behind the guy who just, who's got us into this big war, killed, over a dozen of our troops, $100 billion, and now
he looks nothing like my son.
Is that
my son is a giant.
So this is the other side of the trap, if you see what I mean. So I'm not telling you he will certainly escalate. That's not where I'm at, and I'm not advocating he escalates. I'm assessing that we're in the middle game of the escalation trap, and how you would know you're in the end game is not just by a piece of paper and promises of the future.
Yeah.
American forces
That's
will
all I ever
physically
DJ'd.
withdraw from the region. That, if you go back to my X account, that's what
I mean, it became popular like right before I moved there. It was in, I remember it was in like, like Spin Magazine used to have this thing. It was like coolest subculture of the year or something. And it was the fucking, DJs like me the year before I moved there. And, if you play like, Duran Duran and then Slayer and then fucking this and then some fucking house music, like, that's all I've ever DJed. I used to do a couple of hip hop nights though, like college, like, at the bar off campus. I did Tuesdays and I think Tuesdays and Thursdays. I forget which nights. I did 2 nights a week at the college bar, freshman and sophomore year. And it was mostly all hip hop. But then whenever time I DJ'd downtown, it was all, it's like my mixtapes.
I was warning about in early February. We're building an armada.
I like to get everybody on the dance floor and then make them dance to alt rock.
We're likely going to bomb Iran. That's why I started the escalation trap, because we moved the troops here. Well, if we unmove the troops, now you're following the indicators that Professor Pape uses, which is the behavioral indicators. That's how you'll know you're actually out of the trap.
And I think the way that a lot of people understand the escalation trap is that it's fairly determinative and that each step pushes you further into it. But at some point, presumably, this is going to end. So how does the model account for other decision-making that gets out of the escalation trap? Let's say this MOU does stick. Does that mean the model was flawed and needs to be amended, or are there elements within the model that allow for this?
Yeah, the elements in the model, as I've been explaining, and this is what I lay out, is you had stage 1, stage 2, which is stage 2 is where Iran gets Hormuz. Then you're at a fork in the road. Stage 3, more escalation by Trump. Stage 4, we acquiesce to Iran becoming the 4th center of world power, and we withdraw our forces. We literally withdraw our forces. So that's the 4 stages that I've laid out, and on my live videos, I go through this almost every 2 weeks. So I've got the graphics and so forth. I'm glad to send you the graphics, by the way. And so this is where we are. We are at a fork in the road, and Trump is choosing the acquiescence track. And how you'll know then that the escalation model is ending is when Trump withdraws the forces. That's how you know that you're actually, it's the end. And that just hasn't happened yet. Now, maybe he'll withdraw forces next week. Maybe he'll withdraw forces in 30 days. I don't know. But that's not, I'm not predicting the timing. I'm predicting the trajectory and the stages. And that's really and I'm sorry, but this is the 20 years of the model. This is the only way out of this, is either you go forward with more escalation or you withdraw your forces
and you should be
and you
fucking
accept
DJing.
its acquiescence, accommodation, capitulation to a stronger Iran.
I need to.
That's
Yeah.
there's no
My PA is
like
going to waste.
graceful way out where we just pretend this didn't happen and suddenly we're back to February 27. We're not. The status quo of February 27 is not coming back. There's two status quos in front of us. More war, or Iran is a stronger power for many years to come.
Professor Pape, thank you so much for reacting to breaking news this morning. We really, really appreciate you being here.
Well, and thank you for having me and for allowing
Stop
me to
simping.
explain what's essentially a model and all these stages here.
No, your fans, your audience is so smart.
So thank you so much for doing that.
No, thank you. I know our audience appreciates it a lot. So we're very grateful to you for making
And if you
it.
want that graphic, just let me know, and then you can circulate it with this so people understand it. Just shoot me a note.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Got it.
Thank you so much, Professor Pape.
Okay. All right. Thanks again. All right, bye-bye.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really.
Sorry for the double gram.
Check this out, each and every one of you, compilation tape, my own making. I call this the greatest Zooks album, featuring artists like, well, I got some Hendrix on there, some Joplin, Mama Cass, Belushi, all great artists that are fixated on their own vomit. You can't get this in stores, man. I made it, one of a kind. Check it out. All major transactions.
Of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most.
Ozzy Osbourne.
You. What is your name?
Manuel Goldstein, sir.
You, however, are not on my list.
She's so hot in this.
Whoa, this isn't woodshop class?
Last crashing, come on. Love you, we'll do lunch. Thank you.
Send your people home, but leave the boats. Yeah.
And do like
Good.
absolutely nothing. And your name goes through like 17 computers a day. 1984, you're right, man. That's a typo. Orwell's here now. He's living large. We had no names, man. No names.
I hate those glasses.
Can you score fry?
Meet serial killer. Eyes on Fruit Loops. But he does know things.
Oh, yeah. Technicolor rainbow. Yeah. Green one.
What are these?
International Unix environments.
Luscious orange.
Computer security criteria, DoD standards. Pink Shirt Book, Guide to IBM PCs, so-called due to the...
This guy needs to go back to Seattle.
On the cover. Devil Book, Unix Bible.
What's that?
Dragon Book, compiler design.
Yeah?
The Red Book, NSA Trusted Networks.
Ooh.
Otherwise known as the ugly red book that won't fit on
Yeah.
a shelf.
This is like real hacker shit.
So I'm looking around,
Nobody even has ugly red NSA books anymore.
4 hours, I'm just messing around in there.
Stupid, man. It's universally stupid. Yeah, but don't forget God. System operators love to use God. It's that whole male ego thing. Seriously righteous hack. You score one of those Gibsons, man. You know, supercomputers they use to, like, do physics and look for oil and stuff. Wouldn't you just love get one of those Gibsons, baby?
Yo, who ate all of my fries?
Joey?
What? No.
Oh, Joey.
I did not touch your food.
Sysops love to use God.
You suck. Yo, man, you need to lay off of that shit. What are you doing?
Oh, I hit you. Nice place, huh?
You heard of a hacker called Acid Burn? You know who he is?
No. I don't know who he is. Do you?
Nikon King.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Again? Yeah, sure.
Hackers penetrate and ravage delicate and steel-like materials for
TLDR, the planet was never hacked.
You're a boner. Yo, showtime, showtime. What's going on? 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to our show, Hack the Planet.
Hack the planet!
For those late night hackers. So what do you think? I crash your place tonight?
What is it with this guy?
His parents must
Yeah, I was a big SLC Punk fan.
Hey, you hear about Joey's bust?
Yeah. Probably has something to do with that bank in Idaho.
You think he could hack a Gibson?
Yeah, I could hack a Gibson.
His mom said he's grounded for his next 3 lifetimes.
We just fucking watched that whole video. He explained it like 10 times.
Hey, there's a big party tonight.
Yeah.
Thought so.
Are they gonna show the side boob scene? Come on.
Yeah. Houston, we have liftoff. 3 o'clock. Check it. Don't look through the waves. Lisa,
Yeah, but they should just include it.
look at that pooper, man. Spandex. It's a privilege.
Look at that pooper, man.
Display? Like the Matrix, man. A million psychedelic colors. Yeah, baby, sweet.
I want it.
I wanted to have my children.
Yeah, I bet it looks crispy in the dark.
What happened next? No one would have ever known. My boy was killed.
Handed.
And now
Difficulty rating.
and I could
7.
never go back.
Whoa.
No, never
Crash
see him
and
ever
burn.
again. But I won't be
She's so
we got
Listen, we got a higher purpose, right? A wake-up call from the
Hmm.
Nintendo generation. We demand free access.
IBM laptop. I mean, you know how Trump never takes responsibility for any L ever, right? Like, that's... You should basically assume the opposite of what he says is true. Especially when it's about something like this, where it's like, it's debatable, or, you know, a lot of people are telling you that he is fucking took a huge L, and then he's saying, nuh-uh. You know, you don't need me to tell you that he's lying, right? Like, that, I mean, they, asserted their authority over the Strait of Hormuz, and, you know, this whole negotiation has been about, like, Trump accepting their terms, but finding a way to do it in so that he can pretend that he didn't lose. Like, none of their shit was decimated. Trump kept saying that it's never been true, but he relies on the fact that, like, the media doesn't, you know, they don't interview any Iranian spokespeople, and if they do, they certainly don't give them the opportunity to explain how wrong Trump is. And the Iranians are smart. Like, they are, like, trying, like, they have psychologists on their negotiating team who are helping them, like, deal with Trump, because he has, you know, he's deranged. Like, their military is barely, like, Trump would bomb, like, their missile launcher sites, and then they would go out there and dig it out, and it would be working again within a couple hours. You know, like they've been preparing for this for a long time. Like their systems are all very resilient. That's why people kept saying, this is not a good idea. There's no way to win, right? Like there's no easy way to defeat them. Like even if you sent like 1 million, say you could magically get 1 million troops on their shores, like they have this like decentralized defense set up so that like if you kill a whole, like, you know, I don't know what the term is, not platoon, but like if you killed like a whole regiment of troops, like it wouldn't matter because somebody else would take their responsibilities, right? Like which again is why Trump keeps saying like, oh, all the other presidents, they knew Iran was dangerous, but they were too scared to go to war. No, it's because they had basic fucking understanding of the logistics of it, and they knew it was an unwinnable conflict. Like, there was no way to win. Like, he would have had to have nuked them. Like, there's just no way to do it. Certainly no way to, like, open the Strait of Hormuz by force. It's like their whole thing relied on Iran, you know, cucking themselves and being too scared to assert, you know, to defend themselves. Again, the idea that this was a conflict they could win is an Israeli psyop that, like, everybody with any sense at all knew from the jump was impossible. Like, there was no way to do it, you know? They have all these little speedboat things that are actually very effective. Everything that they have is specifically developed and implemented specifically for that use case, right? Like, our military is built on like what's going to make the most profit for the military industrial complex. Like, our military is specifically geared around rewarding big, you know, campaign donors. It's not geared about, like, it's not, the structure of it is not developed for anything we'd actually need it to do. It's all simply created in order to spend money on their shit. Like, it's paper tiger, right? Yeah, that whole team of specialists, dementia specialists and neurologists, analyzing everything to find how to fucking, like, get him to agree to something. And they understood, right? Like, he needs a way to spin it as a win. Like, he needs a way to spin this obvious loss as a win. So that's why the whole thing is being done the way it is. Like, instead of having a toll, he has the Gulf states that are just going to give them million or billions of dollars, and he can pretend that he didn't do that. Like, that's not even getting to, like, the damage done to our reputation. Like, Israel's got fucking fucked up. All these Gulf states that have mortgaged their future on relationship with the US are just toast. Like, they have gotten the shit kicked out of them, and America did nothing to defend them. All of our interceptors don't work, right? Like, the whole thing was like, oh, we can pick a fight with Iran and it doesn't matter because if they shoot at us, we have all these Patriot missile defense systems. And none of them really worked. And even when they did work, it's prohibitively expensive to fire the interceptors, you know, $20 million or, you know, millions of dollars to intercept these, like, you know, $10,000 drones. Like, which again, this is stuff that everybody knew this. Everybody has been saying this. That's why previous presidents have avoided this. That's why Obama spent years negotiating the JCPOA, because there was just a basic competency to understand that this was an unwinnable war. The same thing with, like, Ukraine, too. Like, they have escalatory dominance, right? Like, it's existential to them. It does not matter to any of Trump's fucking base except the Israelis, right? They are the only ones who are insisting on this because they can't have any threat to their fucking hegemony in the region. Because they're psychotic. They would rather, like, destroy every country around them and fucking, you know, spend billions and billions of dollars bombing and torturing and hurting, even though it hurts them economically as well. But they'd rather do that than just have to be, like, you know, not fucking bloodthirsty for 5 minutes, you know? Yeah. Which again is what everybody said. They had a choke point on the world economy, which every fucking, you know, everybody who wasn't being paid to lie about it understood that, you know? So you have Mark Levin and, like, all these, like, you know, Israeli agents. They also have psychologists on staff to tell them how to manipulate Trump, and they're very good at it. Yeah, Israel going to do a false flag? Yeah, exactly. 60 days. They have 60 days to... But again, is that going to be plausible, though? Like, I don't think Trump would even, buy that. Like, if there was a false flag, and they were like, oh, Iran did it. You know, Trump was born, like, recently, but not yesterday. You know, like... Certainly none of us will believe it, right? Which is they've been having this problem for a while now, is their false flags are too obvious and their reputation is too tarnished that nobody is going to believe anything that they say. Like, it's like they've been caught in too many lies and they continue to double and triple down every opportunity. It's like, you know, I could own up to this and take a step back, or I could just keep telling lies, and they just keep telling lies.
Spank as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Cereal has.
So lean and clean.
You know, it's like a hacker, right? Tag, you're in. $1.8 million, man.
We gotta get the rest of the files so we can find out where the money's going before the money disappears.
Oh man, it's universally stupid, man.
They've been paying teens and criminals to attack Jews, which is why Trump must not pay Iran their money. Yeah. That's what I mean, nobody believes it. Also, Iran's boats have been fine. It's America attacking their ostensible allies.
Oh, must be somewhere else.
I wish I wouldn't known then. It wouldn't last too long. But it
Pick them up tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.
Snoop on to them.
As they snoop on to us.
Yo, check this out. Hey, what's the Da Vinci virus? Check this out. It's a memo about how they're gonna deal with those oil spills that happened on the 14th.
What oil spills?
No brain dead. Today's the 13th.
But this hasn't happened yet.
Mm.
The worm antivirus, plot thickens.
Yeah, dude, this...
Be with you, man. Yo, I'm blowing up.
Oh god, dude, tech was so good in the 90s. We should have stopped here.
Alright, there's a little tension breaker that had to be done, alright?
Syria, here. Go fix the phone.
Roger.
I miss my Walkman.
Trashing our rights, man! They're trashing the floor data!
Hack the planet.
Trashing! Trashing! Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
Shut up and get in the car.
Crash Override is such a shitty name. It's such a stupid hacker name.
Hola, boys and girls. It is I, the serial killer, making my first coast-to-coast, worldwide, global television appearance. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, burning CDs. Yeah, my pager. Dude, we could have had so many cool pager tricks by now if we were still using pagers. Be able to jailbreak your pager, turn it into a phone. Joey's hacker name was Major Laser. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's like in whatchamacallit? What's his name? What's the
A worm that was to steal $25 million.
not Neil Stevenson. Who am I thinking of? Gibson. William Gibson. Neuromancer. It's like Neuromancer shit. Yeah, don't get an Israeli pager. Yeah.
I need some engagement, y'all. Now, is it just me, or is the portrayal of the TX in Terminator 3 a little sexist? Don't all jump down my throat at once. Relax. I've just noticed a few things that I've never seen anybody else bring up in their critiques of this movie, so I thought I'd share. Let's get the obvious one out of the way. When the movie came out, everybody laughed about the inflatable boobs gag. It was actually a practical effect. It was also kind of a tone setter. This moment is sandwiched between scenes implying that the TX steals a car and a gun, but she can't just be a silent assassin. She's got to be sultry.
I like this car.
Yeah, she's sultry.
I like the gun.
You knew I'd like that gun. When she hits a target, she can't just scan the blood. This Tommy Mommy has to sexily suck it off of her finger.
No.
Even when she does test the blood without being a freak, she can't just recognize John Connor's DNA. She has to stop and make her O-face. You know what I'm talking about. John learns about the TX's features and then refers to her as a Terminatrix. After taking some time to check herself out in the mirror, the TX fights Arnold in the bathroom while showcasing a couple moves that I highly doubt a male-presenting Terminator would ever use. First, the TX plows Arnie through several walls while holding him by the crotch. Then she does this backwards leg wrap move that I'm convinced would have been done differently with two dudes fighting. Oh wait, kinda has been. Sorry, I just can't imagine Robert Patrick being expected to straddle Arnie in a Kama Sutra position like this.
He's a good-looking boy.
Maybe this one was an attempt to make things more intense, but having the TX snarl as the main characters run away just looks like a thumbnail for some grifter video about how women ruin the franchise. It's just a big difference from the stoicism of every other Terminator. Like, yeah, let's make the lady Terminator extra emotional. And finally, the reason I wanted to make this video in the first place. As awesome as this final confrontation is, if the big bad had been male, there's no way they'd have Arnold defeat him by shoving a phallic object down his throat while maintaining tearful eye contact.
You are terminated.
Like, are you kidding me? Look at this shot.
Damn, man, look at that, look!
Bro basically throat fucked her to death. There's no other way to put that. Well, there's probably another way to put that, but there was probably another way to kill her, too. Show me one instance of a male hero emasculating a male villain like this.
Calm down.
Oh, wait. Please, tell me. Where do I find it?
That's disgusting. Where? Where did he...
Calm down.
Since you brought up the Iran deal,
Shirley Manson was a urinal and got pissed on before turning into her T-1000 unit and kill a dude because reasons. Yeah, that was a weird scene.
A ceasefire or moving towards a ceasefire. We should talk about that. So, I mean, what's your initial reaction, given that we know very little about the contents of the deal and are getting different narratives about its contents from the Iranian and U.S. sides?
I think the only significance is that Trump is admitting that he lost his regime change war. This is him putting that in writing, essentially, because the war was launched in late February with Trump claiming that when we're done here, the people of Iran, you will take over.
The Weinstein flavor.
Yeah. And that failed. And when the kinetic part of the war failed, he then tried this oil blockade to prevent Iran from exporting any oil. And I think he was trying to wait out to see if Iran's economy would collapse under the combination of his blockade, the damage from his bombing, and of course his crippling sanctions. And that didn't work. And Iran's leverage over the Strait of Hormuz proved to be just too strong, along with its striking of U.S. military assets in the region and the threat it posed to Trump's Gulf allies, because he basically put them on the front lines of his regime change war alongside Israel. So he failed. And this memorandum of understanding essentially restores the status quo from before he started bombing. So essentially, he's admitting defeat of the regime change war, but is he opening a new chapter in U.S.-Iran relations? Is he going to lift these crippling sanctions that are designed to destabilize Iran? No, and I think that's pretty clear even from listening to J.D. Vance today, who's like inside the cabinet, inside the Trump's circle, is widely considered to be the most anti-interventionist. But the way he's talking, the policy has not changed. That while Iran has been willing to accept limits on its nuclear program for a long time, while Iran's been willing to accept limits on its nuclear program, the U.S. won't accept Iran's resistance to Israeli dominance. And because Iran refuses to capitulate on that front, Iran will continue to be targeted for regime change. And so I just don't think that aspect is changing. So it's a pause to Trump's regime change campaign. It's a mission of defeat, but it's not peace.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Korean War armistice, which was, 53, 54, which didn't end the war. The war still, there has been no peace, no actual cessation of hostilities between the South and the North.
Yeah, but I mean,
actually, Trump attempted to end that, but that was sabotaged.
I mean,
as well
what if this
by the
is
same
different?
elements that will seek to sabotage the Iran war?
I mean, you don't know that.
An actual ceasefire with Iran and an actual durable peace with Iran. Many of the same elements, at least, and they were less powerful than the Israel lobby and the Zionist movement is. So,
Trump's an outsider. He does what he wants, like Miss Rachel.
20,000 precious children were killed in Gaza, and currently so many are living in tents. They don't have enough food. There's rats and garbage. They have unclean water. I want to thank you for standing up against the genocide in Gaza and saying to end the genocide.
She should be in his
Ms.
cabinet.
Rachel, it's just heartbreaking, and I appreciate your having spoken up these past couple of years. I know it hasn't been easy, but the reality is there was a genocide in Gaza. The reality is we shouldn't be sending bombs here. That's why I've said that we shouldn't be providing more military sales.
20,000 precious children were killed in Gaza.
He's calling out AOC, huh? About how cool he was? About how he's gonna win? We should invade Israel. Nice.
It's a memorandum of understanding, and if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head.
Yeah.
Of course, they can start the military campaign up again. So, by your logic, Iran should have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah,
to
I
deter
saw that. He
Israel
signed
from
the peace
invading it.
pledge.
I mean, you just said it. I don't know what your relationship is with your country of birth, but you want to talk about genocide.
country
let's
of
talk
Earth.
about Armenia.
You are
Armenia.
Israel. Israel is not our daddy. Israel might be your
Armenia.
daddy. Israel's not our daddy.
Everybody says things they don't mean in the heat of the moment. But the soap opera love triangle,
Yeah, Armenia.
Tel Aviv, Iran,
Yeah.
and Trump, is a masterclass in mixed signals. When the US and Iran signed their memorandum in Geneva on Friday, if they sign it,
You saw
Iran
it
will be
last night?
represented by their foreign minister and parliamentary
Yeah.
speaker. Both of those men have been in government for years.
I mean, I
meaning
could
they
have
are
watched
very much
another
part of
hour,
the same
though.
regime accused by the US of massacring 40,000 protesters.
Like, they should have gone back and fucking, like, burnt down war decks, or done something to what's his name, the British guy. First, they never explained why there was a British guy running the fucking deep state. By the way, it's the other thing. I mean, you know, he was good and all, but I kept wondering about that. You know. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was parts you could have cut out of it. The deep state would be much more effective. And yeah, but it's not. That's the other thing that the bunker guy was saying last night too. Is like, it's more complicated than that. Like, it's not a zero-sum game, right? Like, their defeat at the end is partially that they were outsmarted, outwitted, but also that they had lost the will to keep the secret, you know? Which I thought was great, and I think that's realistic. You know, like, I think that, like, you know, parts of the deep state would rather not have disclosure happen, but, like, I definitely think that, like, the people who were, like, up close running it in the trenches every day, I'm sure they have to have very complex, conflicted opinions about the secrets that they're keeping. And, you know, it's like people say, it's like, you can maintain classified, you know, you can keep secrets about the technology itself, but, like, the existence, the presence, that, I think, you know, I feel like that is like they would have, inertia, they would have kept them, the status quo would have remained in place, but if it was effectively challenged in such a way and you saw you had no support even within your organization, you know, because, like, that guy's motivations were not, you know, like, there was nothing showing, I forget his name now, there was no scene, like, they did nothing to build up the stakes, like, from his perspective, right? Like, there was nothing that demonstrated that he had an extraordinary commitment to keeping the secret, you know, like, for him, he was just doing his job, and, you know, there was no scene of him being like, oh, can you imagine how dangerous the stonks will fall apart? Like, there was nothing like that. Like, they did a little bit with religion, but not, you know, I don't remember anything with him. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I felt like at that point, I felt like I feel this way now. It's like, I wonder if those people keeping the secrets are ever, like, you know, like, convinced by the opposing side. And I feel like they showed that in the movie, right? They, like, showed the, like, all the damage and all the problems they had caused to keep the secret, all the effort it would have taken to put the secret back in the box, all that. Like, the one scene though, like, I feel like what would have happened is they would have killed the guy before the movie started, you know? Like, they would have known that he had taken the shit and bombed, you know, had a drone strike at his house before we even got to the handoff. After the movie started, you know, the guy was complaining about this last night. Like, the thing could do anything. It was basically the ultimate MacGuffin, like the alien tech, right? The guy was like, oh, how come they didn't shoot him when he was walking by or whatever? And it's like, I thought it was very explicitly stated that that little device could do anything, you know? Like, if you knew how to use it, you could do anything with it. Plus, we saw that other guy fucking get, you know, zoinked out of existence. So I do think, yeah, like, basically, yeah, I agree that they would have been more ruthless at keeping the secret, but not necessarily, like, the plot, I think, was fine. I do think that they probably would have killed him, yeah, before the movie even started, you know? Andromeda. The trans Gemini, she can fix anything but doesn't. Oh, yeah.
Protesters and funding terrorism across the world. They were evil enough to warrant a threat of total eradication along with the entire Iranian civilization. But
Yeah,
that was
it wasn't
then.
added to my server yet.
You talk about regime change. I never cared about regime change. It's never a part, but I guess you have regime change because you know better than anybody. The first group, they're all dead. Dealing with people that I think are very rational people, and they were nice to deal with. They were strong.
Yeah, the ultimate
people, smart
nullifier.
people. I think actually they're smarter than the first.
Your feeble mind
and
cannot
second
begin
group.
to comprehend its
But they're
power.
not
You hold the
radicalized,
means to
and
destroy
they're,
the galaxy,
you know,
to lay
looking
waste to a
help their
universe.
country.
Well, President Trump is also losing interest in the so-called nuclear dust. Iran's uranium stockpile
good.
and its ability to
Yeah.
quickly make a nuclear weapon
Yeah,
became
well-
a central pretext for war with the current.
I mean, I do think they're going to do an Epstein leak, Neri. And I think, I don't know. Does Israel have anything else? I'm sure they do, but like, how much of that will Trump have to own? Like, they could release they could blow the whistle on, quote unquote, blow the whistle on any number of deep state secrets that would be devastating to the American establishment. But I feel like most of them Trump would be able to wiggle out of, you know, because he's still perceived as somewhat of an outsider. I mean, so say they release the tape of him with the kids or whatever. He's gonna say that's AI, that's fake, that's not real. Like, you basically, like, you need to get him to a position where he has no choice but to say, this is bullshit, Israel, this is some Israeli shit, you know? Which I feel like he's actually closer to than we would think, you know? I don't think Iran has it, I think Israel has. Oh. Like, I think, no, because it's like I said before about, like, everybody who's not paid to lie to him, you know, is probably incapable of sugarcoating it. So he's at this conference with all these G7 leaders who are all telling him, yo, Israel's fucking you. This is not good. This is, you know, you fell for it or whatever. Saying that in a nice, you know, in a nice way. And then periodically he runs into, like, you know, Unit 8200 handler who's like, you know, oh, Iran looks weak, or, you know, oh, Iran's gonna be toppled, the regime is gonna fall any day, Mr. Trump. You know, like, the incentives were so strong to end the war, you know, and what does he even get for continuing to wage Israel's war? You know, like, what is he even getting from it? Like, he wants the reconstruction deal, which sounds like he got that, right? Via the Gulf states. I don't think he cares about, like, you know, like, weakening his enemies or any of that shit. I don't think, maybe a little bit, but, like, I don't know. Galactus has the ultimate nullifier. Turned into a star killer and the whole crew and recreated them. Oh yeah, I remember that one. The pyramid, that was epic, shot everyone will forget. Yeah, no, I loved all that shit. That's what I'm saying. Like, they could have done so much more with all that footage they had. And again, I keep hearing people complain about the animals. Like, shut up, man. It's not like a smart criticism to have. And people keep saying it like they think it sounds smart. Like, oh, those animals look so fake. And it's like, that's how people describe them. People describe them as, like, hyper real, right? Like, this, like, it looks fake to them because it's not real. It's screen memory, you know? And it's like, UFO people continuing to complain about that is annoying. Like, you're a UFO guy, you should know better, you know? I mean, yeah, real animals, it wouldn't have been worth it, you know? Like, you would have had to have used special effects on the real animals to make them look weird, you know? Jurassic Park? I mean, Jurassic Park doesn't have a plot rationale behind having them look fake. Like, I thought they looked pretty real at the time, but again, it's like they have a built-in lore that would encourage them to use the special effects animals. I don't know. Like I said, it was obvious, it was noticeable, but like my takeaway from that was that it was noticeable because that's how people describe them, you know? Like the owl with the fucking weird eyes and stuff, right? Like, this is how people have pretty consistently described them in the same way. What is this? Give me this other shit. Yeah. No, I mean, you could have done a whole sequel or another hour just like dealing with the fallout. Like, it would have been, you know, it wouldn't really have worked, but like, I mean, you could have done more like they did with the Jackie Gleason footage where they kind of zoomed in on it for a second. They could have done that with like all the videos they were showing. That would have been neat. If they gave us like an extra 2 minutes of all of the UFO, you know, famous UFO encounters. That would have been neat. Yeah, that's such a great, yeah, I love that part. Yeah, anybody who gets killed on the toilet is usually a great scene. Bruce Willis.
Agreement is only an agreement to carry on talking about it. Iran says it's only, quote, reiterating its previous position, and retrieving the nuclear dust, well, that might not be worth the hassle after all.
To go get it is a big deal. Because they say only China and us have the equipment where you can even get. The whole mountain is collapsed on top. We have cameras on it. You could make the case, why are you even bothering? Because it's not really valuable. It's, you know, it's probably $500,000.
That's one big pile of shit.
Valuable
Yeah.
stuff.
Meanwhile, the Israelis, who launched and fought the Iran war alongside
Shirley
the US,
Manson's
were
toilet
not given
form.
access to this agreement at all. That's despite Iran's insistence that the deal includes Lebanon, where Israel is at war with Hezbollah. Benjamin Netanyahu, until recently praised as the heroic wartime leader, is now a difficult guy who should be thankful we're doing this. President Trump has a gift for making big points in plain English, and in his latest criticism of Netanyahu, he summed up what many people have been arguing for several years.
Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long, and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody. Because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you.
Well, the Iran war caused an enormous rift among Trump's supporters.
Hezbollah.
Now, the agreement is doing the exact same thing in reverse. Mark Levin, hailed by Trump as the true voice of MAGA, is having what looks like a nervous breakdown. And most of the war's biggest supporters cannot stomach the idea that Iran is about to get $300 billion in financing while charging a toll on the Hormuz Strait and effectively using Trump to rein in the IDF. The deal is absolutely terrible. There's no getting around it, said Will Chamberlain. The president should renege. A complete disaster, added Mark Tyson. If nothing else, the Iran deal was supposed to draw a line.
Of course, we told you it was a disaster. We told you that before you even started.
Well, joining me now,
I was saying to the chatter earlier.
The founder and CEO of the Young Turks.
Everybody with a
General Mark
fucking
Kimmett, the US Army
2
veteran
brain cells
and
knew
Secretary of
this.
State. Lieutenant Colonel Chuck DeVore, who's a former US
Oh my
Army
God,
intelligence
Jank.
officer.
You got some
and the foreign
sickos,
policy
dude.
analyst and host of YouTube show on Oh My World, Hagar Hamali. And Brian
Israeli-ass
Tyler Cohen, the
name.
host of No Lie.
Who are all these
who's
people?
Also with us. So welcome to all of
Dude,
you.
why do you have all these fucking people,
Cenk
Piers?
Uygur. I'm going to start with the extraordinary words I never thought I'd use, which is probably the biggest cheerleader for Trump's deal is Cenk Uygur.
Yeah, So listen, I didn't want to go on the war in the first place. I thought it was a bad idea. You all know that, right? But our job right now is not to say, oh, Obama's deal was better. We could have that discussion. But the most important thing is let's get out of the war. Let's go towards peace. So if Trump is going towards peace and towards American sovereignty, I'm 100% in favor of it. And so what do we want this, theoretically, this war for? To end any chance they have a nuclear weapon? Well, this deal ends that. And then after the war started, we need to open up the Strait of Hormuz. It opens up the Strait of Hormuz. So American interests are completely covered. We're done. The only reason why we'd want to stay in Miriam's war is to appease the Israelis. And I think that every single person on air right now saying we have to stay longer is saying we have to stay longer for Israel. So that Israel could fight Hezbollah and Hamas better, so they could take southern Lebanon, so they could drag us into endless wars, so they could destroy their regional opponents, so they could have no one to defend Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, and every other place that Israel wants to expand to. Why? Why do we care what Israel wants at all? It's none of our business. Our business is covered. Trump made a deal. It's perfectly fine. Let's get the hell out of there. We
No
have
crazy war.
business in there
No
in the first
crazy
place.
war.
Zero American interests. So
No
as
crazy
you see
war.
people betraying us and telling us that we have to stay in a war for Israel, make note of it. And let's also make note of one more thing, Piers. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tom Massey were excommunicated. How dare they criticize Trump and want the Epstein files released? Now I see all sorts of Republicans, politicians, pundits, all daring to disagree with Donald Trump, saying he's wrong, attacking Donald Trump. Where are the consequences?
It's a good
Are
point,
they going
Cenk.
to be excommunicated? Or, as usual, does Israel First get a special rule? They're allowed to bash Trump. They're allowed to criticize Trump. They're allowed to be for war. They always get special, different rules. So, no, they won't get excommunicated. And we're about to find out who runs the Republican Party and who runs this country. So, if Trump says Israel doesn't run it anymore and we're going to leave and go to peace, God bless. I'm totally in favor of that.
Okay, Hagar Hamali, welcome to Uncensored.
Yo, Present Radio hooking up Right Said Rock. Let's go. You want to see my TikTok? Maybe somebody else could subscribe and we could have a hype train. If you do 2 subs. How come we didn't hear the song?
Does anyone have a cigarette? Your reality isn't what you think it is. Bring me a mirror. Mommy loves you very much.
This is blasphemy!
I know I've used this song before, but sick. Don't you want to subscribe? Oh, remember we were gonna do the thing with the stonks too. I guess not.
never come back to this place, but you've been dead for a century, and the kingdom will die without you.
Do not forget the cost of resurrection.
Yo, this is sick.
It worked. He's alive.
This is no time to celebrate. We've awoken the Ancient One.
Send us back.
Oh, good night, dude.
Yes or no question. Are you a racist?
I'm not a racist.
You're not a racist. Particularly interesting because according to one of your affiliate charities under your nonprofit umbrella, denial of racism constitutes covert white supremacy. Are you a covert white supremacist?
Sir, I'm here to talk about the essential work that nonprofits
Are you a covert white supremacist?
Can I talk about the work that nonprofits do in
No,
your
I'm
district?
asking you if you're a covert white supremacist, which according to one of your own organizations, again, denial of racism constitutes covert white supremacy. Would you like to answer the question?
I don't know what the question is.
So you refuse to answer whether you are a covert white supremacist.
I am here to talk about the essential work that nonprofits do. If you'd like to ask me a question,
I am utterly
about
dumbfounded. You are on
your
record right now,
district
and you will
or
not say
throughout
that
the
you are not a
country.
covert white supremacist.
I don't have a definition in front of me. I haven't looked at the definition. I'm not going to answer a question about my personal
That
views.
is-
I'm here to talk about the work
You're not
of nonprofit
my
organizations.
God.
No, I want to give you one more chance to do this.
Covert
Are
white
you a
supremacist.
covert white supremacist?
Why are we so off track from the topic?
No, I'm asking you a very straightforward question.
I've heard your question. Thank you, sir.
And you're not going to answer whether you are a covert white supremacist.
I would like to answer questions about the work
This
of
is
nonprofit
this is
organizations. Thank you.
That is really, really astounding. I can answer very directly that
Who
I am
is
not
this
a
guy?
covert white supremacist, and I imagine all of my colleagues can as well. I think you ought to reevaluate what you're doing in the nonprofit sector. If you can't answer that in a straightforward way, that is astounding. Yes or no question. Are you a racist?
I'm not a racist.
She already answered it. What are you talking about?
Not a racist. Particularly interesting because according
What? Like, I think this guy thinks it's an own, but I think he looks really fucking dumb. Like, and I think this lady, whoever she is, she played it pretty cool. Like, wow.
Do you generally believe Israel would try to harm you because of your opinion?
Of course, I don't know. I hope not. I don't want to be harmed.
So Israel is the most violent state in the world, even more than Iran? Are you serious?
No country has boasted more about killing its political opponents than Israel, of course, about its assassination programs. The prime minister of Israel gave a golden pager to the president of the United States. I was there. And that golden pager represented the pagers that Hezbollah leaders were killed by. Sure. Yes, Israel brags about assassinating people, and of course it does assassinate people. Many countries assassinate people, but Israel makes a public relations campaign out of boasting about killing its opponents. Killing innocents is never acceptable, period. Under any circumstances by any person or any nation. It's immoral. It's the thing that separates the civilized from the barbarous. It is never allowable, period, for any person to kill an innocent. You can't kill a child. The child did nothing wrong. And civilized people understand that. That's what civilized people are. That's the definition of a civilized country.
But it seems like when you speak about Israel as the most violent state in the world, you forget to mention that it is the most attacked state in the world from so many enemies, like any other country in the world. So
Why
if you
would they have him
don't put
on?
this
Oh my God.
equation together, it seems like we are doing it for fun or that we lost our morality. This is self-defense.
Well, Israel has definitely lost its morality. There's no question about that, of course. The reason that I have cause to comment on this and to say that it's wrong is that I'm paying for it. There's no reason the United States should be sending any money at all to Israel, and particularly not to its military.
Even if
Israel has neighbors that...
Even if the price will be the annihilation of Israel? This is not your problem.
I just don't understand why the United States has an obligation to pay for any of this, to send the weapons for it, to lend its moral authority to Israel, to lend its diplomatic cover to Israel, to lend its air force and its navy and its military to Israel. I don't understand, where does this obligation come from? And no one will answer that question. And instead they say, well, you're an anti-Semite. Well, I'm not an anti-Semite.
All right.
And that's not an answer. What is the answer? And I've never received one. And I know now, because of this war, that America's relationship with Israel, while it may be based on good intentions, is hurting the United States very badly, very badly. We can't afford it. And our standing in the world has declined, and we're implicated in some of the many crimes Israel has committed. I don't think the United States owes Israel anything. I don't think the United States should give Israel anything. I think we should stop all aid to Israel, all special deals for Israel. Tomorrow.
You accuse Netanyahu of dragging Trump into an unnecessary war with Iran. So let's think about what it actually means. Do you really think that a foreign leader can pull the president of the United States into a war he didn't want?
Well, I don't think that could happen. I saw it happen. I was there. And so that happened. So the question is why? I blame Donald Trump for folding under the pressure from Benjamin Netanyahu and his many allies in the United States. Donors to Donald Trump, people in the media class here, were effectively working on behalf of the Israeli government, and Donald Trump, whose decision it was, caved under that pressure.
If the United States would cave in
one after another,
Iran terror regime that controls now also the Hormuz pathway, and
you're the only terror regime
ring that it created in the Middle East, maybe it would be even worse for any citizens in the world, not only in Israel, but also in the United States. And this is exactly what Donald Trump said. So you don't believe Donald Trump?
I don't believe Donald Trump, and I also think as an Israeli, you should pause before using the phrase terror regime, since you live in a country that just murdered thousands of children in Gaza. It's a little hard to hear that from Israeli right now, I have to say.
You're targeting only Israel, and by that
well, of course, I'm not targeting anybody. I don't have a military. I'm a podcaster, so I don't target people. What I'm saying is true, which is Iran's behavior, the government of Iran's behavior is in some cases disgusting to me and immoral. But the behavior of the Israeli government in Gaza is disgusting and immoral. And of course, Israel's not a democracy in any sense. Actually. There are millions of people who live under Israeli control who cannot vote, right? And so if the West Bank, Judea and Samaria and Gaza, or whatever we're calling these places, which Israel has controlled since 1967, have people living in them who have no control over the government that controls their lives, which is true. It's not a democracy. So let's just drop the talking points. I don't think killing children is self-defense. It never will be. And no amount of recounting the legitimate atrocities of October 7th will ever get me to accept this behavior. And Israel doesn't like to acknowledge the existence of universal principles that apply to everyone equally, even you. Your behavior is bad too.
For example, in Gaza, have you actually labeled Israel as committing genocide? You said that.
Ethnic cleansing. Israel's trying to take the people who live there and move
genocide.
them out.
You said about Israelis,
genocide, killing,
about the people, about the state of the Jews. You said we are committing genocide.
Israel has murdered all these children, thousands of children in Gaza. But the real criminal is me because I describe that as genocide. Okay, it's killing innocents. It's wrong. You can call it genocide or ethnic cleansing.
So you're not calling
it
a
crime, a sin, an atrocity. I don't really care. What I'm saying is murdering children is wrong. you're more upset by how I describe the murder of children than you are at the murder of children,
No, I
which
don't
says a
think so.
lot. That is not an attack on an ethnic group. I am totally opposed to attacking people on the basis of their ethnicity. That's why I'm disgusted by the way that Israel treats Arabs like animals or subhumans. I oppose that. That is immoral.
Do you generally believe Israel
say
will
that
try
they
to
fucking live
harm
in a
you?
gutter or whatever?
Restricted dictionary, the meaning of the tablet shifted completely. It stopped being a hymn. It became an instruction manual, and the instructions were terrifying. The first line of the corrected translation
the
reads,
death traps.
"Listen, child of the dust. When the breath leaves and the cold begins, 3 roads will open in front of you. Do not run toward the first light you see." Stop and think about that for a moment. This is a 4,000-year-old document, and it is warning you, the reader, not to run toward the light when you die. Modern near-death experience research,
You don't go to
the kind being done
don't
at
go
the
to the
University
light.
of Virginia and at NYU Langone, consistently reports patients describing exactly that: a tunnel, a light, a pull, and in many cases, a sense of relief and welcome. The Sumerian scribe wrote, 4,000 years before any of this research existed, that the light is a trap. The Sumerians were obsessed with death, not in the morbid Gothic way that modern culture sometimes imagines. They were obsessed with it the way an engineer is obsessed with a system. They believed that death was a process, a sequence of events, and like any sequence, it could be mapped, predicted, and navigated correctly or incorrectly. The standard Sumerian afterlife, the one taught in every Mesopotamian studies class, was called Kur, a dark place under the earth, dusty, dry, populated by the shades of the dead who drank muddy water and ate clay. It was not heaven, it was not hell. It was a kind of gray holding zone, and it was where everyone, kings and beggars and priests, ended up. That is the official story. But the tablet IM 24386 tells a different story. It says that Kur is real, but Kur is not the destination. Kur is one of the paths, and it is described as something terrible, something the dead are tricked into walking toward because it looks familiar. The tablet calls the entrance to Kur the path of the soft voices,
It does look
because what
cutting.
waits at its entrance, what calls to you when you die, is the voices of the people you loved, your mother, your grandfather, the child you lost.
Just like in near-death
Anyone whose absence
experience.
still aches in you. According to the scribe, those voices are not them. They are echoes. They are designed to pull you toward Kur, because no human consciousness, in its first moments of separation from the body, can resist the voice of someone they loved and lost. The tablet describes a man named Ur-Nammu, who in life had been a priest. The scribe writes that Ur-Nammu was given the secret of the 3 paths by an Anunnaki teacher. And when Ur-Nammu finally died, his apprentice, who was present at the deathbed, claimed that Ur-Nammu spoke a final phrase. He said, "I hear my mother calling, I will not answer." And then he went silent. And then, according to the apprentice, his body relaxed in a way that the apprentice had never seen a corpse relax before, as if he had walked through a door rather than been forced through it. That is the first path, the path of the soft voices, the trap of love. And it is the path that, according to the
Egyptian, isn't
scribe,
it?
the vast majority of human beings will follow. Because the bond to the people you have lost is the strongest pull a consciousness can experience. The Anunnaki, whoever or whatever they were, understood this perfectly, and they built the first path around that understanding. The second path is, in some ways, worse than the first. The tablet describes it as the river that washes the name away. When you die, according to the scribe, you will see a river, calm, wide, silver in color, and there will be a sense that if you step into it, all of the pain of your life will be washed away. Every regret, every shame, every loss. The river is designed to look like the answer to everything that ever hurt you. But the river does not wash away your pain, it washes away your identity. The scribe is very specific about this. He writes that the soul that enters the silver river will, within what he describes as 3 turnings of the sand, forget its own name. Forget who it loved, forget what it had done, and then, stripped of memory and personality, it will be absorbed into something the tablet calls Ekur, which translates roughly to the mountain house. But the way the surrounding glyphs frame the word, scholars who have studied the corrected translation believe Ekur, in this context, is not a place.
Not to beat the dead horse about what I was saying at the end of this show and last show, but capitalism is not the enemy. Just unchecked capitalism.
Right.
I mean, capitalism has brought more wealth and higher standards of living to more people.
If you're working in an Indonesian sweatshop, you might have a different opinion of that.
Well,
hold on.
you couldn't be charging $20 for those tickets if you had
didn't
not
charge
been as
$20 for
successful
the
as you
tickets.
have been.
Yeah, we don't live in a narco-syndicalist utopia. When we do, I'll be in a band in that one too. This is where, I mean, they sell Noam Chomsky books at Barnes and Noble. You know what I mean? Like that's where we are. I'm working hard to change that. You know what I mean? But Hillary Clinton is not.
No.
Wait. Wait. I don't know what you said. I mean, I could pretend I knew, but what does that mean? They sell
No. I mean, I think the argument's being made that a successful rock and roll musician has benefited from capitalism. Therefore, I should not criticize it.
No. I'm just
not
saying
that you
that
shouldn't criticize it. Just that you have that.
You literally just said
again,
that,
like
you
democracy,
twerp.
the worst
Who is that
system
guy,
except
that
for all
weasel?
the others. And
What?
that it does
No,
bring,
communism
my
is the
analogy
best
always, it's a
mathematically,
raging river,
demonstrably.
But you got to have the river flow
Ultimately.
in the way it naturally flows, not like
You
the
moron.
communist
Oh
Chinese
my
who try to make
God.
the river run backwards.
What?
But you just put dams
What?
and locks on the river so
Oh
that
my
it doesn't
God.
kill people.
A river is a natural phenomenon. Capitalism is a morally bereft system that harms much of the planet.
Hold on.
People pay other people for things.
Hold on.
People have been paying
there's
other
nothing
people
more
for
natural
things since
than-
there was things to pay for.
Yeah, that's not
People have been paying
capitalism,
people
though,
for
you
other
dum-dum.
things that-
Yeah, that's
there
a
was
market
trade
economy. That's
and
not
selfishness.
capitalism.
There is nothing more natural
If you
than
didn't
that.
go
Start in
Oh
America.
my God,
If
you
you
morons.
Start in America.
Capitalism
you
has
morons.
taken more people out of poverty around
that's
the
what
world
I'm
than
saying.
any
Morons.
other
Right.
system
Put a lot of
that
people in poverty
exists.
too.
That's right.
That's true.
Yes.
It's completely not even a relative
Unless you're
Let Tom
making
talk.
Nike shoes in an Indonesian sweatshop, which is a crucial part of what capitalism is. Like you cannot have Rodeo Drive without that sweatshop. You can't have it.
Okay,
Can't have it.
I'm not sure that's the case. I think
But
what we
doesn't
need to
that
do
assume
is
that people outside of the sweatshop are doing way better?
Right, and also
No, it assumes that there'll be grotesque economic inequality on the planet. That's what it assumes, and it's predicated on grotesque economic inequality.
By the way, the
Yeah, Tom.
sweatshop that they work in probably is the better job. They went to that sweatshop because they had a work
What?
job.
Yeah.
And,
Oh my
and,
God.
and also in the
Oh my
to beat the
God.
dead horse
The
about what I was-
sweatshop is a good job, he says.
Well, there goes the last of our ammo.
Oh no.
The surface is still uninhabitable. These creatures come deeper every week. Primitive weapons can't stop them.
Tell the Doberman I've reconsidered.
Tell
his
the
offer of
Doberman.
alliance.
You just made a blood libel against the Jewish state.
Yes.
Dresden
We
was
can't keep doing
1,000
this.
Lancaster
We can't keep
bombers
doing this.
over
And
two
this
nights.
gets into,
I am
I'm sorry,
asking
I'm sorry.
you.
Look, prior to October 7th, I don't think many people were engaged with what is
You've
happening
committed a
in
blood
Israel.
libel.
You know, we kind of all said the same thing. Israel is our friend and ally.
You've
I
committed a
count
blood
myself
libel.
among those people. Post October 7th, the world, and especially I would say Zionists in media, were demanding that we all pay attention. And when we began to pay attention, we didn't like what we saw. You cannot tell me to ever feel comfortable with 18,000 children being ruthlessly murdered. You can't get me to feel comfortable as a Christian with the amount of more explosives dropped, tons of explosives dropped on Gaza than were dropped in Hiroshima.
He needs to go
this
back to
doesn't
the
make
dick-
sense to
the
me.
dick-
Gaza is
the
30 miles
dicking
long,
business.
7 miles wide. It's incredibly dense population. And this is, by the way, according to Haaretz, that 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered. I believe they're getting those numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry. And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into
Get
a
him,
little more
Candace.
scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9.
What's the
Behold,
part
I
about
will make
dicks?
them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. The fact that you would try to say, I am Jewish, and this is what I believe, and do and say the things that you are doing. People can see and hear evil, and what you are doing right now is an act of evil. The lies that you are telling, not
Yeah.
just on me, but
Yeah.
also on my family
Everybody
members,
knows
are
it.
a good example for the world to see what we are referring to when we call something radical Zionism.
Okay, Rabbi Shmuley.
Okay, and okay, thank you. And of course, Pierce, there was nothing ad hominem about my being demonic. This is a two against one debate. I expected that. And
It's not a two against one debate.
And I will, excuse me, no, it's a 2 against 1
You've
debate.
You've made no attempt to answer my questions.
No, Pierce, let me
Candace has been trying to answer my questions.
Just said,
oh, man.
You're not.
Candace just said, Candace, filth, demonic, there's nothing ad hominem about that. You are correct. You're right, Pierce. Candace Owens just said that Israel dropped more bombs on Gaza than on Hiroshima. Hiroshima was an atomic bomb, Candace. You know, why don't you just read Wikipedia? Israel has nuclear weapons. They've never used them, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
They have nuclear
now, let's
weapons.
look at Israel's justified defense. Israel admits, and even Hamas admits, to a 1-to-1 civilian to combatant ratio of civilian casualties, which is a tragedy. It shouldn't even be one. But remember, Hamas fires their rockets from nurseries. The United States and Afghanistan had a 4-to-1 ratio of civilians murdered for every one. You just made a blood libel against the Jewish state.
You just made a blood libel.
But Kid Rock was there, and they told us like not to really hit Kid Rock with any zingers because he just wanted to enjoy the show. And he's kind of sensitive. Don't really do many jokes about Kid Rock. He just wants to hang and enjoy the show. Which all I heard was like, all right, do a ton of jokes about Kid Rock.
It says Major General McCaslin was lead advisor for a UFO book that opens by tying UFOs to the astral realm, shamanism, stating the appearance of the saucer is a manifestation of someone in a parallel universe using ceremonial magic to enter our world. He called them mystical machines. And then if we zoom down on the image and look at it up close, listen to what this says. A magic circle from the Heptameron of Peter of Abano. Notice the concentric circles with some arcane symbols between them, and the 4 stars at the 4 corners. If one were to view this in 3 dimensions instead of 2, the similarities to the design of the archetypal flying saucer would become apparent. Indeed, the magic circle is a mechanism for visiting other worlds. This to me is absolutely mind-blowing, but not surprising because it's something that we've been talking about on this YouTube channel for over 6 years. You can go back and watch almost any playlist on this YouTube channel over the last 6 years, and you're going to see me going out and investigating and researching ancient sacred sites and talking about the connection between ancient stone circles, specifically Native American medicine wheels, and how they seem to sit in the same place as a lot of ancient petroglyphs that depict similar circles and spirals that are all related to UFO hotspots and paranormal locations. Native Americans will put stone circles down in the valley or up on the top of hills, and they're all aligned towards the North Star, and they are supposed to represent the path of the Big Dipper as it makes a circumference around the North Star like a giant wheel. In Buddhism, you'll see multiple different mandala designs. I am a big fan of the Kalachakra mandala and what that ancient ritual of the Kalachakra mandala actually represents. They are a 2-dimensional circle, and around the circle is actually wagon wheels that represent the Big Dipper.
Okay. Algorithm was kind of cooking there for a minute.
It seems pretty clear from the rhetoric coming out of Donald Trump that his steadfast support for Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel is at best teetering on the brink and potentially something heading for a complete severance here. Is that your reading of this? And is it really because from the very start of this war, you've had 2 countries with competing agendas and that Israel's agenda is just simply not the same as Donald Trump's and isn't susceptible to the same political and economic risk that Donald Trump, I think, is now getting out of this war to try and counteract?
No, so there's a lot, there's a lot inaccurate there in that question, because you have to first of all be able to distinguish between the state of Israel and the US relationship with the state of Israel and our mutual interests, and also Bibi Netanyahu. So let's start with that. relationship with the United States and Israel is always strong. I worked in foreign policy for over 20 years. I continue to work in foreign policy. And you have to distinguish. We have disagreements with world leaders all the time, including our closest friends. You know that. You're from the UK. We've had ups and downs. That doesn't mean our special relationship weathers. They have mutual beneficial interests. And I should add, by the way, I worked in foreign policy, particularly in the Middle East for a long time, but specifically in counterterrorism. And it should be known that the relationship with Israel is not because it's out of some kind of charity. The derangement around Israel is really odd to me. And I personally don't deal in hyperbole, I have to tell you. I deal in fact only. And a number of the terrorist plots here in the United States are thwarted thanks to our partnership with the Israelis, because when you look at nefarious actors like the Iranian regime and their terrorist proxies and other Islamist and fundamentalist extremist groups in the region, they're not trying to target the United States because our friendship with Israel. They're trying to target the West and our democracy, and Israel is part of that. So I want to be very clear about that. But the fact is, to answer your question about Trump and Bibi, sure, there's now disagreement, as we have with every world leader. I wouldn't overemphasize that or exaggerate it to view it as some kind of strain on the relations. If there's any strain in the relations, I would see that if we have a Democrat president next, because that's something that they've been talking about, the left and Democrats. They highlight that. That's a very heavy part of their campaign. But on the right or with the current framework, no, we're going to have our disagreements. But Trump very much understands Israeli interests and how U.S. national security interests are tied up in that. I want to be very clear, having worked in this for a long time, the U.S. goes after its national security interests unapologetically. It doesn't operate. It doesn't think, oh, well, let me see how I can work and expend national treasure to benefit another country, even if it's an ally. That's not how U.S. national security functions.
General Mark Kimmey, let me bring you in. Welcome back to Uncensored. Is there any real difference, substantive difference, between this reported 14-point agreement, which is due to be signed on Friday, and the one that Barack Obama signed all those years ago, which Donald Trump tore up and dismissed as the worst deal ever seen?
It was a terrible deal.
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, I think
it was the worst deal ever.
That the JCPOA would be inactive at this point. So there was a time it had to be renegotiated anyways. The short answer is
this guy's mad he's not in Peter Thiel's secret club.
For two reasons. One, we haven't seen the MOU. Number two, we haven't seen the negotiations start for the final agreement. And number three, something that I'm always concerned about, which is inspection and verification.
Oh, yeah.
The fact remains is we really don't know the capacity of and capabilities of the Iranian nuclear program, because they had control over when, where, and how the IAEA could come down and inspect and verify. It was a fig leaf. We really had no idea, either as a country or as a world, what the Iranians were capable of. So to answer your question, if we have an agreement that says we have unfettered inspection and verification of the terms and conditions of the agreement, yes, I think it would be a better deal.
I want to play you, General Kimmett, a clip. This is Donald Trump talking about that if he doesn't like the final deal, this is what he will do.
Is the text of the agreement now final, or are you still...
No, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding. And if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head.
When do you expect the wording?
If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head.
Oh, man.
Now, we've had a lot of this kind of bellicose rhetoric from Donald Trump in the last 16 weeks of this war, much of which just hasn't materialized. Do threats like that have any significance anymore? Do you think the Iranians care when Trump saber rattles like that? And is, on a practical reality level, is it realistic to think that there could be, say, a pause of a month, 2 months, 60 days, whatever, and at the end of it, if Trump isn't happy, he starts the military attacks again, given what's been going on for the last 16 weeks?
Well, the answer to your question, your last question, is of course they could start the military campaign up again.
Of course.
Now, would it have any effect? I think we've got to understand that military success up to this point has not had a strategic effect. It really hasn't changed the behavior of the Iranian regime. And part of that is
you
the
can't say it
resistance
has.
model that is being used, which says they win by not losing, they win by outlasting their opponent. We've seen that with Hezbollah. We've seen that with Hamas. That is just the nature of resistance warfare. They win by not losing. In fact, if you think that they learned it from us, they taught it to us. In fact, they learned it from us. That's how we beat the British in 1776.
Oh my God.
We were on the verge of military defeat repeatedly.
Yeah, no, that's
but
why.
the kingdom of George got weary, said it's no longer worth it. We don't want to fight anymore. It's not in our strategic interest. And we could be here for another 100 years and those damn colonialists will not give up. So let's get out of here. I mean, doesn't that kind of sound like Iraq, Afghanistan, and now Iran? Just wait them out.
Yeah, and without that devastating reality, 250 years ago, you'd be speaking in a nice English accent, General Kimmett.
Well, thank God we don't.
Let me bring in Lieutenant Colonel Chuck Duvall. Welcome to Uncensored. We do know, broadly speaking, because it's been leaked to CNN and various other, Al Jazeera, I think, as well. Now, this 14-point agreement, I've read it. Now, a lot could change between now and Friday, particularly given the ferocious backlash it's already receiving from many people who've been very supportive to this point of Donald Trump's war in Iran. So it may be that they go back and change something.
Wretches.
So far, what it indicates is that there would be an immediate and permanent end to the war on all fronts, including Lebanon. And both sides would undertake that from now on, Iran will not launch any hostile action against each other, neither would, and will refrain from the threat or use of force against each other. Each side refrains from interfering in each other's internal affairs. Each will negotiate and reach a final agreement within a maximum 60 days. Iran will open the Strait of Hormuz to international shipping, while the US will lift its naval blockade on Iranian ports within 30 days. And then this significant part, I think, here, the rehabilitation and economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran, ensuring financing of at least $300 billion and the unfreezing of assets of $25 billion, all sanctions currently facing the Islamic Republic of Iran to be lifted. And the Islamic Republic of Iran reiterates, in other words, repeats, that it will never produce nuclear weapons. The fate of enriched material, the fate of all mutually agreed nuclear-related issues, including Iran's nuclear needs, will be adequately addressed in a final agreement. And both sides agree the final agreement will be approved for a binding resolution of the UN Security Council. So, you know, I've read that, and I don't see much difference with the Obama deal, particularly on the crucial stuff, like the ability to enrich uranium, the nukes and stuff. There's nothing concrete there whatsoever, which take things, I think, any further than the Obama deal.
It will be a great day for the world once the gay of Hormuz open
day one of his war, at the end of it, Iran would be the
over and over again, all up in that
be given $300 billion and another $25 billion of unfrozen assets returned to them. You'd have said I was nuts, wouldn't you? No loser ends up with that, do they?
Well, first of all, great to be on your show. Secondly, I think it's important to understand that all of this information we're getting about this deal is being leaked likely from one side. Just a few minutes ago, I was listening to President Trump speak with India Prime Minister Modi, and he indicated that he wasn't entirely sure whether or not the deal would be to his liking on Friday. He was basically admitting that there are details that are being worked out. But let's go ahead and compare the JCPOA with facts on the ground today. The general mentioned a few things that I think bear expanding upon, which is that the JCPOA did nothing to restrain the Iranian ballistic missile program, which you could argue was technologically behind
So you're saying
their
that this
nuclear
new
program.
deal will?
Nuclear weapons aren't all that good unless you have a reliable, long-range platform that you can use to deliver those nuclear weapons.
These fucking liars,
that infrastructure has been largely obliterated as the result of this war. That specialty steel factory that made the alloy that was needed to make the missile bodies that has been
Decoys.
destroyed.
All
A lot
decoys.
of the missile scientists have similarly been killed as well. So that's number one. Number two, the JCPOA
Fucking
unlocked
freak brags about
billions and
this.
billions of dollars up front to Iran in an attempt to buy them off. That money went directly to their proxy network throughout the Middle East, to Hezbollah in Lebanon, to
So
Hamas.
why wouldn't this money do the same? I don't understand. Why would this
here's
money?
why. Here's why. Because so far as we know, right, again, the details are somewhat sketchy, but so far as we know, it's all conditions-based. In other words, if you behave, you may start to get access to some of this money. If you don't behave, you won't get access to it, which was very different than the JCPOA, which front-loaded the money regardless of behavior. One last point. I heard the president say that Israel had the right to defend itself against Hezbollah just this morning. But he asked that Netanyahu be circumspect about that retaliation or about the scale with which they fought back. So he acknowledged this morning that Israel has the right to defend itself.
I
And
can't
one
even
last
believe,
point.
like, his
Facts on
skin
the ground
suit is
again have
dripping
changed
off of him.
significantly. Iran
my
doesn't have the stockpiles of munitions nor the cash to send to Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. And if you haven't noticed, there's been a change of management in Syria, which makes it a lot more difficult to resupply
our Al-Qaeda
Hezbollah
guy is
overland
running
or
Syria.
via air. It's
Oh
not
my-
as easy as it was just last year.
Okay, Brian Tyler Cohen, welcome back to Uncensored TV. I want to start with you by playing a clip from Mike Pence,
I want to
because I
fucking
think this is
throw
quite a
up. Just throw
significant
up my mouth a little
comment
bit.
from somebody who was, of course, Donald Trump's vice president.
It sounds like you think, from what we know so far, this is a mistake by the Trump administration.
Well, it's much bigger than a mistake. I think it's ill-advised. We ought to keep the
Much
pressure on,
bigger
keep
than
the
a
blockade
mistake.
on, and if need be, let our armed forces get back to work.
I mean, worse than a mistake. You know,
Worse
I did
than a
say again,
mistake.
I don't want to play
Yeah, they're the
Monday
aggressors.
morning clever dig, but I couldn't really understand why Donald Trump was doing this, given all his pledges not to take America back into, as he put them, pointless Middle Eastern wars, and with the obvious impact on cost of living, which he'd also campaigned on reducing
I don't think
the
I'm
cost
gonna
of
be able to watch
inflation
much
and
more
so
of
on.
this. These
None of it
people-
really made much sense to me.
Oh.
And also, I couldn't see what the end game was going to be.
Why would you
and
have
now
them
we see
on
the
your
end
show,
game is
man?
at best
Pierce.
a mess, and at worst, as Mike
You
Pence,
don't- you
Trump's
just need
former
one
number
of
two,
them.
and normally pretty
You
loyal
have
to him,
several of these ghouls on
saying,
there?
worse than a mistake. And I did say this could end up being Trump's legacy, but it might also be something which could cost the Republicans the House and the Senate potentially in the midterm elections, and maybe even the next general election. These things have enormous consequences.
Well, they have enormous consequences because everything that he's engaging in right now is severely unpopular. And Trump himself knows that it's unpopular because these are the things, as you said, that he campaigned expressly against. It was him who came out and said he was not going to engage in any of these endless, pointless foreign wars in the Middle East. It was him who said that he was going to focus on making sure the gas prices are low. Well, gas prices are high as the result of this war. It was him who said, who even today, you want to talk about cognitive dissonance, today Donald Trump said, and I'm going to quote this, the JCPOA done by Obama, he handed them $1.7 billion in cash. They tried to bribe their way out of it. And you know what the Iranians did? They laughed at Obama and they said he's a stupid son of a bitch.
So you're doing
that
like a
was Trump
hypocrisy
saying that
burn?
today, as he is in the midst of
He's such
negotiating
an
a deal
awful
where the
lib.
Iranians would get not only $300 billion, but they would also have the ability to basically use the Strait of Hormuz as a toll route. And so on issue after issue,
Yeah, he's
as
been
it
through a
relates
lot, huh?
to this whole,
He's got a rough
what
year.
does he call this? An excursion. Issue after issue, Donald Trump is undermining the very promises that
This
he
is why
made.
liberals
And
lose.
yet,
Listen
this
to
is a
him.
small part of a larger whole. Everything that Trump said when he was campaigning has been undermined by his presidency. Whether he said that he was going to keep costs
This is
low,
such
and
a
of course he launched
stupid
a trade war
fucking
that
argument.
sent the cost of
What
everything
the-
surging.
oh.
He was going to keep gas prices low. Gas prices are high. He said he
Why
was
are
going
you speaking
to
like
protect
this,
healthcare.
dude?
Healthcare has been gutted for
What?
17 million Americans who rely on Medicaid, 24 million Americans who rely on the ACA. Food assistance has been gutted. That's not going to help with cost of living. Inflation is up, not down since he took office. And so, again, issue after issue, Trump is undermining the very promises that he exploited people's votes for now that he's got power, now that he's got what he needs.
Cenk Uygur, I want to play you a clip from Ben Shapiro, who's furious about the prospect of this deal.
I'm noticing that Mohammed Khalibaf, who will apparently on Friday be literally in a photo op with the Vice President of the United States. I cannot express to you how stomach-turning that is. I don't care who the Vice President is. I don't care who the President is. Leaders of the United States of America in a photo op with a mass murdering terrorist supporter like Mohammed Khalibaf, shaking hands.
Murdering terrorist supporter
6 months
like
after
Benjamin
he blew away
Netanyahu.
42,000 innocent people in the streets.
42,000 people.
I mean,
in
there's
the
something
street.
completely weird going on here, Cenk, where Shapiro is ranting away against the Trump administration, having been the biggest supporter of the war in the first place. And there's you opening this show by broadly supporting what the president is doing, albeit not from a deep, abiding love of Donald Trump. But it seems that people like Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, and others, they put all their chips in the casino on the red of Trump charging into Iran and getting rid of the regime and so on. But the moment that he looks like he's not going to do Benjamin Netanyahu's bidding, they've turned on it like rattlesnakes. What do you make of this?
Like rattlesnake, he's doing tropes.
Yeah, there's one small part that I agree with Ben on. So when our leaders shake hands with terrorist leaders who slaughtered tens of thousands of civilians, like Benjamin Netanyahu, it is stomach churning. When our Congress gives him standing ovations when he's a genocidal maniac and probably the largest terrorist leader in the world, it is stomach churning. But that's Netanyahu, not anyone else. They have a worse civilian kill ratio than Hamas or Hezbollah, and the IDF has murdered 100 times the civilians of Hamas and Hezbollah. By any definition, they're a terrorist state. But it's interesting because, as you point out, Shapiro and Levin, oh my God, we love Trump. Oh, he's not doing Israel's bidding anymore? We hate Trump. Did you know that Miriam Adelson, and that's why I called it Miriam's War, because her family paid over $317 million to Trump's campaigns to make sure that they got a war like this, and they got the war that they ordered. Now, all of a sudden, they say, oh, there's a problem with the war we ordered. Well, that's kind of on you and not on us. So I'll get back to that in a second. But did you know that Miriam Adelson and Larry Ellison used to donate to Bill Clinton before they donated to Donald Trump? Because they don't care about Democrats or Republicans, and neither does Shapiro or any of the Israel First pundits. They only care about their beloved Israel. And it's obvious, they don't change their position on taxes, on Social Security, on health care. They only change based on whether Trump is in favor of Israel's actions or against Israel's actions. So what you're seeing playing out in American media and the government is Team America versus Team Israel. So if you're on Team America, hey, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That was our only concern. The Strait of Hormuz is open. The economy is going to hopefully get a little bit better now, right? Than at least in the middle of the war, right? If we continue in the war, the economy is definitely going to get worse. Gas prices are going to go up, inflation is going to go up, and it endangers the entire global economy. So as far as American interests are concerned, we should absolutely leave. And honestly, there's really no question about that. So the argument that the Team Israel makes now is, yeah, but what about Iran's proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah? To which I say, so what? Why are we basing our entire foreign policy on the needs of a country whose population is the size of Papua New Guinea? Why do we care what Israel wants in terms of, oh no, it has to wipe out everyone who might oppose their fascist empire in the Middle East. It has to destroy Iraq and Iran and all 7 of their neighbors and take more of Gaza, more of the West Bank. Now we owe them southern Lebanon? Why do we owe them southern Lebanon? Well, and that's not defense, that's offense. They're stealing southern Lebanon. And no, we don't have to finance that. We have no moral or strategic or military obligation to Israel at all, which is a force for darkness in this world. In fact, literally every nation on earth is opposed to this war except one, Israel. And we're having a debate, and it's 50-50 on whether we should listen to Americans, we should listen to the entire world, or if everyone should bow to Israel and do their demands of wiping out all of their neighbors so they could take more territory. No, this is a no-brainer. If you're on Team America, you come home, you get to peace, you improve your economy. If you're on Team Israel, you always want war. You always want ethnic cleansing and land grabbing. We don't have to serve their imperial empire.
Okay. Hagar, you said this week, Trump needs to tell the Iranians that Lebanon is off the table. They don't like it. We can make things more painful for them. And I want to play you a clip from J.D. Vance's interview with Megyn Kelly on this subject.
And then you get to the next stage.
Is it included? Is Lebanon included?
Lebanon,
Hezbollah?
It is a regional peace deal. It's going to include the Gulf. It's going to include Israel. It's going to include Lebanon. The idea is this is a true regional peace deal because,
How
again,
do we do that
if the
without
Iranians
Netanyahu?
comply.
Sorry, forgive me for interrupting.
No. The idea is that if the Iranians comply, then we are going to have a true transformative deal for the Middle East.
Now, there's a lot of ifs there, Hagar, but the bottom line is the Iranians have made it crystal clear that if Lebanon's not included in this deal, they're not interested in doing a deal at all. And if they want to, they can just go back and shut the Strait of Hormuz and fire a few missiles off at the Gulf states, and we're back where we were before. They know they've got that now in their asymmetric war arsenal, and it's very effective. So I'm not quite sure how anyone's going to bully the Iranians into excluding Lebanon from all this when they've made it a pivotal part of the deal.
Yes, that's right, Piers. I mean, this is the thing I would say I'm most concerned with at the moment. And so let's take it back a little bit, because the Iranian regime is struggling generally, right? With the United States and Israel has assassinated 50 of its leaders. They don't have nuclear capabilities at the moment. They've lost a significant number of their ballistic missiles. They have no military, no navy. They're practically bankrupt. And their currency is worth nothing. At the same time, the Iranian regime has discovered all these new cards and bargaining chips they can play that are very effective and cheap, by the way. Playing in the Strait of Hormuz, of course, attacking the Gulf. They fashioned a new terrorist group called Ha'i, which has now launched at least 17 attacks across Europe, though very few people are talking about it. And then you have playing the Lebanon card, because Lebanon, the thing about Lebanon is that you can see where you've got this peace process. There have been peace talks since April 14th, and they're going generally well. There's a long way to go. I work on Lebanon's peace, by the way, efforts. I have an organization to do that, and there's a lot of potential there and opportunity. But the last thing that the Iranian regime wants is any kind of peace deal or normalization for any Arab country with Israel. And secondly, they definitely don't want Hezbollah to be undermined because it's their most important proxy. So the longer the military operations go in Lebanon, the weaker Hezbollah gets. So the thing that to back up, you started off by saying that I had said that Trump should not sell Lebanon to Iran, and that when Iran insisted that Lebanon be included in these talks, my opinion is that Trump should have told the Iranian regime, no, Lebanon is not on the table. Come to me with something else. What else do you want as part of this negotiation? And the reason is because we, the United States, lose on a very key national security interest for us. We want a peace deal between the Lebanese and Israelis. Right now you have Lebanese and Israeli partners that are working really well. The only thing preventing them from a peace deal is Hezbollah. And so if you have a ceasefire, the way the Iranians want it, and let's be very clear, the Iranian regime does not want stability for Lebanon. They couldn't care less about the Lebanese people. A ceasefire with zero terms is a gift to Hezbollah. It allows it to rebuild, rearm, re-strategize. Whereas, and I'm not trying to imply that war is always better. If you have a ceasefire that has specific terms stipulated, for example, how will the disarmament of Hezbollah go? Who will do that disarmament? Who's going to monitor and verify that disarmament? How do you ensure they can't rebuild? What is the relationship between the Lebanese and Israeli militaries? What is the role of the U.S. military in that regard? These are all typical things you figure out in a ceasefire. However, if you indicate to the Iranian regime, you know what? If you, the Iranian regime, want a ceasefire in Lebanon, then you have the right to negotiate on behalf of the Lebanese government, something that the Lebanese leaders have been repeatedly begging not to confuse the two.
Okay, General Kimmett, I want to play you a clip. This is Hillary Clinton yesterday saying that Netanyahu had been pushing hard for this war when she was
I guess it's just like Trump does, where they have to, their negotiating position or whatever.
Secretary, it was
make these extreme claims.
Theme by.
Here, let's watch the England highlights. Here, I'm gonna stop and restart the stream real quick. Just refresh in a second.